Добрый вечер, с вами Айван Мастер, и сегодня мы понаблюдаем за вторым полуфиналом европейского LCS. Так, надо громкость подстроить. О, что-то с интернетом. Или опять у риотов не вывозят такой поток. Так, ну-ка посмотрим на ютубе, что там со стримом. Может там получше у них.
As we fast forward, this is the overcommit on the tower. Soaz, when he's available, comes in from the back of the fight. It's a deep ward, pretty far into the lane.
Так, все-таки.
When I watch Power people play Oriana, because I'm like, you're missing a lot of shockwaves, but then you're like 1-0-4 and haven't died, and Hillsong's about to die. He's pretty dead.
So tell me more about Power people's Oriana.
It just, I don't know, it's odd, man. Like, he just doesn't die, he has a really good scoreline, and he ends the game and somehow gets a pentakill with Smite, and I'm like, this shouldn't work, but it's working. I guess he's a good Oriana.
I mean, it's because he hasn't got the
Хотя вроде Google владеет такими другими,
when he's got the Smite,
he's farming well.
не очень.
I mean, it's difficult not to farm well on Oriana.
Итак, вчера прошел первый полуфинал Европейской лиги LCS. Встречались команда Виталити и Фнатики. Виталити закончили регулярный сезон на первом месте. Они очень классную игру показывали. Но у Фнатиков все-таки более внушительный опыт игры в плей-офф и в сериях до 3 побед. Поэтому довольно, я бы сказал, все-таки легко. Фнатики 3-1 выиграли и прошли в финал. Ну а сегодня мы смотрим за Origen против Unicorns of Love. И я, конечно же, болею за Origen. В первом матче сейчас на неделю вышел Power of Evil. Ну, я думаю, что сегодня мы все-таки успехи увидим.
Route, or at least like the longer ability to hit.
Helps out those team fights a little more AoE. Amazing's going to have some help from Mithy on the dragon as Sven. He just does the fade away culling. There is the potential for a fight as Chachi is dashing forward. Mithy can commit.
Они взяли только что третьего дракона. 4 вышки против 2 у соперников. По киллам они тоже очень даже впереди, с учетом того, что Люциан вообще мега раскормленный на данный момент. Это довольно страшная штука для убийств. С другой стороны, у поняшек синий С, тем более 2 кора он уже дособирал, и скоро будет Боттерк, и противнейший, чудовищный урон с постоянным пауком. Это будет довольно печально для Origen. Посмотрим, как они с этим справятся, потому что если обычно Эзу дают уйти в глубокий лейт, то урона он, конечно, выдает очень-очень много, а с учетом того, что у них в команде очень много контроля, тем более и паука, то незавидный выглядит участь Origen.
Now, instead of ulting Sven to lock him down, just has to ult himself to try and zone him away. As like a stopgap measure in team fight, rather than just being able to burst him down. Unless you can get there with someone else like Chachi or Luvex, but it's so difficult when you have this front line on Origen.
Потому что да, сейчас они лидируют, но 3000 это не такое глобальное отставание. 3 дракона это посильнее, конечно, будут. Понеприятнее для Unicorns of Love, но В принципе, не критично. Потому что одно хорошо зашедшее копье от Недели сделает просто весь тимфайт. Как она уже, кстати, показала пару минут назад. К сожалению, это в стрим не попало. Потому что кушать хочется, и чтобы не давать вам возможность послушать, как я ем. Поэтому стрим пришлось включить чуть попозже. Ну и как-то игра довольно заметно остановилась, никаких объективов легкодоступных в данный момент на карте нету. Они, пожалуй, вышки вот на боте. То есть ее следующим потоком могут снести Origen. Но я думаю, они будут ждать драконов и использовать его. То есть 5 драконов плюс нашор. Это довольно ощутимая прибавка к силе. Тем более, если это прибавка у Люциана. Ну и на данный момент очень хорошо дела у Арианы. Ну, саппортов пока не будем брать особо в расчет. Потому что ну, закуп плюс-минус одинаковый. Сос сейчас не дает видеть возможности забрать красный баф. И довольно хорошо его прожимает. Плюс у него, не забываем, что вот скилл пассивки. И есть... Нет, все-таки отфлешился. И вот о чем я говорил. Очень высокий урон у синего Эза и противное постоянное замедление практически без КД. Смотрите. Тем более с красным бафом, с уроном, ну, это печально. То есть вроде бы они только что хотели драться, буквально пару автоатак. И кушать от Эза, и все, никакого желания драться нету. То же самое будет, кстати, потом и с копьями Недели. Как только копье попадет в сквиша, все, команда уже не готова к тимфайту. А сквишей довольно много у Origen. То есть это, конечно же, и...
Shockwave still caught Chachi at least, just before the hammer shock, the verdict came down.
Это amazing.
They literally swapped out, and Chachi ran away. Flea was successful. Now Unicorn
тоже довольно сквишовая цель. Ну и зон, естественно. О, вот это вот прям не очень взлет был, но и все-таки заканчиваться хорошо для Оригинов. Смотрите, какую он не ставку в очередной раз. В прошлый раз, когда Origen играли свой первый сезон, они сделали ставку на своего АДК. Тогда он играл под ником Нил. Потом он после этого сезона переименовался в Звена. И очень хорошо оправдывает доверие Звен. То есть он прям шикарнейшим образом отменил, и посложнее стало для Оригинов, и непонятно, зачем они это сделали. То есть можно было вполне устроить нормальный влет и законтестить. Но как-то прошлепали этот момент Флаг, и вот вообще шикарный, доверие Звену. То есть он влетает в двоих, Лиссандру влетает вообще. Но благодаря тому, что есть щит от Арианы и ульту Киндера, он не испугался. Ну и хорошо Power of Evil, смотрите, зазонил ультой. То есть 4 дракона плюс на шорт, то, о чем я в принципе и говорил. Они знают свою силу, они вполне себе уверены, хотя, ну, на мой взгляд, текущая композиция у Unicorns of Love, она более сильная. Потому что с помощью нее можно играть в текущем состоянии. Играть можно даже из отставания. То есть одно копье или хороший влет. И, как я в принципе и говорил, вышка на боте и дополнительно они еще взяли вышку, и сейчас будет еще и ингибитор. Если не игра даже. Потому что, ну, кулдауны просто гигантские. Вот, одно копье и половину жизни у Свена снесло. Соус просто игнорирует. Вот о чем я и говорю, что это финиш. Как-то сначала дрогнули маленько Origen. И все-таки они забрали, не дали.
We're not having fantasy LCS, so no reason to play for KDA in this one.
Yeah, they get points now. So as an amazing Screamy all split long, and now they get points.
Приятная игра в исполнении Origen. Они вполне себе отдавали отчет, в чем они сильны, как это использовать. И драконы брали уверенно и реализовали очень хорошо.
It was made so difficult by the very beginning of that lane swap. The second phase, where Chachi dies because of his personal mistake, and snowballs the entire game because Sven gets the kill, Origen then take down towers, they move very smartly across the map to their
Ну,
credit.
Посмотрим, может быть, они чего-нибудь интересного скажут. Ну, сейчас там, у кого там. Можно взять интервью. Ну, аналитики много особо не скажут. То есть, все, что можно было сказать, я в принципе сказал. И вполне Origen соответствовали моим предположениям. Значит, недаром я слежу за их играми. Ну и ждем пока.
Yeah, it was just a phenomenal performance. I encourage you guys to check out the Lolly Sports Twitter for the damage graph, because at the end of the game, Amazing dealt 4% of the damage, but one Lamb's respite opened up Baron and probably the game. We're going to head to the analyst desk to talk a little bit more about how Origen picked up that victory.
Yeah, 4% damage from Amazing, 40% from Niels, Sven rather, and 41% from Oriana, or Power of Evil, so 80% to the mid and the AD carry. And it just looked very dominant and full of confidence at the end, but we have a lot of things to say about the early game from Origen. However, let's take a look at the picks and bans first, because that also wasn't ideal. You guys thought
Сейчас,
from
точнее,
picks that came out
статистику
from the
сказали
side.
аналитики, что Свен и Power of Evil на двоих практически 90% урона нанесли командного. Ну, а Amazing всего там в районе 4%. Довольно неожиданно и показательно, кстати, для профессиональной лиги. Потому что вся ставка делается на своих керри, то есть на мид, на АДК. Сейчас как-то все чаще на топе используются танки, и Фиору мы не так часто видим, тем более уж какого-нибудь, не знаю, Хисуа. Ну, у корейцев сейчас, кстати, на топе частенько замечаю Эко, причем собранного в танках. Ну и сейчас нам, судя по всему, покажут ФБ на виде Скади.
And he sees Smithy even behind him, and he He still stays, takes one more wave, then he wants to
Но это
charge out on the
как-то
last minion.
Yeah.
на самом
But
деле
how are
глупо
you gonna
было.
escape this? Lucian can obviously just follow you after here.
See,
Is he even taxing on the minion? He got the word.
I think this is a difference between scrims and stage for one, thinking you can overstay for an extra second, and just that he, in his mind, I
То
think
есть
he didn't
он,
calculate
у него
that
есть
Alistair would
вар
go to the wave, and then
впереди,
suddenly goes
с
to
которым
Gambling
он
Toss. He's
видел,
like, yeah, I have
что
to
на
flash,
него
flash
идет
for flash,
АДК и саппорт вражеский.
I'm
У
not
него
saying
половины
this is
жизни
right, but
нет,
this is
он
kind of
первого
what the
левела. Вот
mentality he was
куда
in.
он?
And that mistake came to bite him.
Или
Luckily for
какого
the
он там
Unicorns,
левела?
Origin also
В
wasn't
общем,
perfect.
начальных
in the
левелов.
game. I think we have a second
Вот
mistake
смысл,
where Soaz
тем более
blind invades. We're amazing about our
с
blind invades
закупом.
after Soaz gets caught. So this is the first phase here.
Well,
Soaz pushing out. We had some strong opinions here.
Yeah, but this is something Origen has done all split, where they put Soas in a situation where he's the man pushing out lanes, and Sven is the man normally then catching the waves. And it's supposed to be the other way around. You need your top laner who's alone to just take those waves, push it down to him. He catches for himself. He's fine. Instead, he's the man pushing out, and therefore he dies. And now Amazing goes crazy solo.
Yeah, and now, obviously this is really hard invade for Amazing. Like the wave mid is not even pushed, so it's not a mid priority. And also like there's mid priority.
Ну,
I
здесь
think there's small
вообще
mistake from Fox. Do not use
Amazing,
his there because Poppy has
конечно,
no, Killer has no
затроллил
flash and they
всех.
don't help him. Then after about collapsing, I think like
Довольно.
maybe it was like
Умер
overgrade, I would
быстро,
say.
но
But,
Origen,
like, it was a
смотрите,
bit
сейчас
like 50-50 because
покажут.
they fight, they don't fight, they fight, they don't fight. And then in the end, like it turns.
Yeah, they forget
Как
about
всё
their
развернулось,
support.
то
So
есть
Lissandra came in and they
4 в
thought they
5.
won the fight, 5v5, but it was actually 5v4. And Soaz joins, and this is a good fight. I think this is Origin's strength this game. It's some of these team fights, even when things go wrong and certain abilities miss or some key members get knocked out of the fight by the Poppy ultimate. At the end of this play, Sven picks up a triple kill,
Второй
and
умирает,
that kind of gets him
и
going to
дальше
take more control of the series. But there were some
Unicorns не успевают
serious
просто отойти,
strategical
и их
mistakes from both
разбирают
these
уже.
teams.
Still, though, if you
То есть
look at
3
the two
игрока,
AD carries, not just the
сохранившие
two players,
жизнь,
but also the two picks.
спокойненько
Ezreal, for me, the
разбирают
problem
соперников.
with him in a 1-3-1 comp when you have to double TP on side is that he's very bad at pushing out waves. He's very slow at doing it, auto attack Q, got the Iceborne procs onto them. He slows down the waves, he doesn't push them fast enough. Lucian can do that, Oriana can do that. And I think this Oriana pick for Power Vivo was his answer to Lissandra split push, because Oriana will always have to push in mid. Against Ezreal, against Lissandra, just perma push it, giving mid control over, making it harder to play side lanes, which Unicorns didn't get to do at any point, because also they fell behind.
Yeah, exactly. And we criticized the Power of Evil Oriana pick in the beginning, but it actually doesn't seem to matter because they now won the game convincingly in the end. He will be staying on for game 2 as well. However, let's look at the line of expectations we've had for both these teams. The Unicorns of Love, we hadn't expected them to fix their macro level problems coming into this, really. OG, we had heard positive things here and there about their practice the last couple of weeks, and I don't think it had shown that much in this game, and that makes me worry for them for the series to come.
I think at the moment it's fine. I just saw that Origin has a little bit of edge. Obviously, it's a BO5, it's one game. I think they managed to go out with this Oriana static mid pick against 1-3-1, which I don't think it's the best. Looking at our game, maybe Cloud versus TSM and overall the practice. So I think I'm a bit scared about how this can go, and I think they should match the 1-3-1 Origin in those drafts, because it seems like with Unicorn picking Lissandra first rotation that they don't even mind what they're facing against. They just want 1-3-1 Lissandra. And I don't know if Power of Evil or Fox can play other 1-3-1 champion than Lissandra, so it's gonna be an interesting pick or ban phase.
Yeah, definitely agree. The first rotation on purple side, popular Sounda, even with the looming threat of potentially a Eternal that wasn't really picked up, just I think it gives away a lot for what the Unicorns want to do. For me, Hillsang with the Braum as a last 5th pick, he was kind of invisible. I would have liked to see maybe something a bit more, either disengage or Bard. Yeah, I'm just trying to avoid saying the word because people are like, why Bard? But like, it just gives you more catch, more play potential, I think, than this very defensively oriented Braum lane. But I like what they're going for. I think if the Unicorns found standard lanes as well, this game would have gone vastly different because they just have way more dive potential with the 2 teleports. The Nidalee would actually shut down the enemy jungler a little more. I think maybe they need to force and see if they can find the 2v2 a bit better.
That mistake from Vizicachi earlier, which is unlike him, I doubt that will happen again because it steered so much of the early game.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it's hard to argue, was that where you lost the game? Obviously not. There's more things happening right after, also chances where they could have come back into the game.
It's where you kind of lose a chance to potentially win the game.
Right. I just want to see a different dual lane from Unicorns if they want to play 1-3-1. I don't want Ezreal, who's too slow. in mid lane. I want to see them actually match what Sven can do on a Lucian.
Fnatic won against Ezreal against Lucian.
I mean, that was a game where you guys messed up so much. We said exactly the same. We expect Fnatic will lose this game because their comp is very bad and very slow.
We said only horrible teams can't actually end the game with 3 winning matchups early.
That's why I'm here with you guys.
Yeah.
Well, and we're very happy to have you, let me just say that. Well, a lot to think about for both OG and the UOL going into Game 2. And over in the Turkish Champions League, Supermassive have taken this ranked championship over Besiktas there with 3 straight wins after dropping in the first game in the series. You see them there at the Cup, and we will also see them at IWCI. Here in Europe, though, there's still a score to settle as the UOL and Origen look towards Game 2 in this best-of-5 set. Don't go anywhere, we will be right back.
Does Monk tell you she loves you? No, my mom tells me I'm special. My mom tells me I'm special, so it doesn't really help the case.
She just decided to stick around for too long. This could be first blood. Origen pick it up.
Now Hillside under attack. Mithy comes in. There's the combo. There's the kill. The quick double going in for Sven. Now on to steal back.
Slowly. Careful the Spears, careful the Leah.
Okay, no, it's not there. Good job.
Man, over the wall, what are you doing, man? Now amazing pop alive. Keeps him alive and actually turned into a good play. You're a smarter man than me, Sven. The punish is unbelievable. The flash, the E, the Q, the triple over to Power of Evil.
Вообще, пока есть время, можно поговорить. Вообще, как проходил сезон. Как-то не очень вообще шел сезон у команды Origen, и очень нестабильно играл Power of Evil. Не дают ему, то ли не знаю, то ли не дают ему, то ли он сам не берет, то ли ориентируется на другие какие-то цели, потому что, ну, не дают агрессивных чемпионов, всяких ассасинов, убийц, Power of Evil. Не знаю, с чем это связано, то есть на Лебланке мы его практически не видели, на Зеде тоже он в основном играет Арианой какой-нибудь, играет Варусом, Корки, по-моему, мы видели. В общем, как-то не расширяет ему, что ли, чемпионский пул героев, на которых он может играть. Вот. И контрастом к нему выступает XP, который, возвращаясь в команду буквально там на игру на 2, команда просто начинает творить чудеса. Она играет очень агрессивно, использует все свои возможности, точнее даже не свои возможности, а начинает создавать эти возможности. То есть если на миду играют Power of Evil, команда Origen'ов ищет ошибки у команды соперников и начинает использовать их для своей победы. Если есть XP, то он начинает создавать возможности для своей команды. И это, пожалуй, главное отличие, тем более XP, видимо, шотколлер, и из-за этого команда начинает выигрывать, потому что начинает делать более осмысленные вещи и перестает заниматься какой-то фигней, потому что довольно много ошибок по ходу сезона было у команды Origen. То есть то один отдастся, то другой отдастся, то какой-нибудь неудачный кол на дракона, на Шора, и из-за которого команда просто проигрывает. А с учетом кулдаунов в конце игры это неудивительно. То есть там 40 секунд, 50 секунд. Это достаточно для того, чтобы пронести полностью лайн до самого кристалла. Поэтому довольно нестабильную игру показали, но в принципе им хватило их положения для того, чтобы пройти в плей-офф, и они этим пользуются пока на все 100%. Поэтому тем любопытнее будет посмотреть над тем, что будет дальше. Кстати, нет, соврал я. Фнатики, это сейчас идут четвертьфиналы. Полуфиналы впереди. Впереди у нас получается 9 апреля.
I grew up in Hungary pitch. I think I had quite a competitive spirit. I always wanted to achieve victory. If you start off to play chess, you are usually not that good at the beginning. When I was 12, 11 years old, I nearly won my first competition instantly. I think that was the good start I needed because it motivated me a lot to just keep playing and try to win more and more competitions.
Diamond, actually, the Russian powerhouse, when he was back there, he was competing with Chachi, and it took like an hour. We had like this photo shoot, and we couldn't do the photo shoot because they were in a chess match, so we always had to put the stuff back in and outside, and they were just playing chess in the middle of all of it.
At first I wanted to take it a bit more seriously, 2 hours or 3 hours of chess and such, and I even tried it out, went to high elo chess players, and actually learned quite a lot there. But then I realized that maybe this is not exactly what I want to do, so it kind of just became a hobby afterwards. I think chess and League share kind of the similar strategical components. In chess we have something called openings, which literally covers the first 10 to 15 moves of the game. For example, pressuring the king's side, the queen's side, or just taking control of the center, setting up a good defense and developing after. That's kind of the same in League if we take the early game, so you can kind of plan ahead the first 5 to 6 minutes. In chess sometimes there is like a sacrifice where you give a high valued piece in order to gain
Ну, в общем, чувак вещает на тему, как он любит шахматы, на то, что куча похожестей между Лигой Легенд и шахматами. Но я скажу даже больше, потому что рейтинг Элла, который был раньше и на основе которого, я так предполагаю, и сейчас, составлен рейтинг только с отличиями. Рейтинг Элла, он пришел к нам из шахмат как раз таки, для выяснения самых сильных игроков. Как-то довольно уныло. Поэтому давайте поговорим лучше на тему текущего положения команд. А положение такое, что в полуфинале 9 апреля у нас Fnatic встретятся с H2K. Команда очень сильная, и они прям ставили себе цель на этот сезон победить в Европейской лиге, но внезапно появилась еще такая команда, как G2 Esports, которая показывает вообще великолепную игру, и классно за ними смотреть. То есть они совершают намного меньше ошибок.
A lot about areas, strength, moving forward and controlling the center. I think that helps them because it's analytical. Chachi as a general person is very analytical and it really stands to him. And he wants to do something that works and then replicate it and see it as a winning method.
Ну, а победитель сегодняшнего матча встретится как раз с G2. И это, пожалуй, будет более сложный матч, чем Fnatic против H2K. Потому что H2K все-таки показывали такую игру, с которой можно бороться. То есть это была команда не самого топового уровня, но вот в этом сезоне она выстрелила. Посмотрим, как они смогут отыграть, конечно, в серии до 3 побед, потому что затяжные матчи — это что-то с чем-то, и тут нужен опыт, которого им может не хватить. Ну а G2, они на первом месте идут, и с ними довольно проблематично. будет длиться, тем более Origen с их нестабильной, чрезвычайной игрой, и в зависимости от того, кто будет стоять на миду. С одной стороны, это, конечно, хорошо, когда есть два мидера, отличающиеся вообще манерой игры чрезвычайно. То есть это можно использовать. Вроде как команда там, особенно вот в таких вот сериях до 3 побед, когда команда вроде как приноровилась только к одной манере игры, к более пассивной в исполнении пауэрлифтов, как тут может выйти XP и начинать играть просто гиперагрессивно, с постоянным подключением лесника и саппорта, то есть нередко мы видели, когда прям чуть ли не на первом левеле приходит и Мифи, и Amazing на мид, чтобы заганкать, и нередко это заканчивается ферстбладом. Поэтому, но это все в теории, конечно. На практике мы видим, что Power пока до уровня XP не дорос. Пока нет у него таких лидерских качеств, нет такого, пожалуй, понимания игры, которое можно использовать в поединках. Ну и какая-то, не знаю, как это назвать, мандраж, не мандраж, то есть он не берет агрессивных персонажей. И это не самая хорошая вещь, конечно. Потому что у каждого мидера должна быть парочка ассасинов, как раз таки для случаев, когда надо изменить свою манеру игры без замены человека. То есть поиграть внезапно более агрессивно и начать становиться плеймейкером. Поэтому вот сложно мне будет предсказать, конечно, тот матч, потому что болеть я, естественно, буду за Origen, но шансов победить у G2, конечно же, больше. Но буду надеяться на очередную встречу Фнатиков и Origen в финале. Хотя у них в этот раз есть все шансы встретиться в нижней корзине за 3-е место. Прямо таки много шансов. Но не будем загадывать на будущее. Вернемся к текущему нашему матчу. А он как раз таки у нас начинается. И Соус у нас будет на поппе. Это наверняка баны у нас Райс, Трэш, Сивир. То есть они убирают таких плеймейкеровских саппортов. То есть только обсуждали то, что Хилисангу неплохо бы поиграть не на саппорте защитнике, а на что-нибудь, на чем-нибудь более командообразующем. То есть там Бард, Трэш, но сразу же убрали Трэша. А Unicorns of Love они берут Люциана. Люциан очень сильный в текущей мете, и частенько его, практически в каждой игре мы его видим. Но опять же, до определенного момента тот же S может быть намного более противным. И Оригины не показывают ни одного пика. То есть им будет уже известен один пик, либо ну, довольно гибкий пик. Ганпланк можно сыграть и на миду, и на топе. До определенного момента, конечно, поппи будет посильнее. Но потом Ганпланк начнет жечь напалмом и вносить чудовищный урон. Ну вот, Хилисангу дают Жанну. И все также неизвестно будет. Вполне, кстати, вероятно, что Свен будет играть. Чуть даже выпал из головы.
Yeah, I mean, what's the alternative here? Like, Kallista's open as a Sven champion, and it would be pretty good here. Definitely higher mobility. Jhin changes your playstyle, but there is a really big front line for Jhin. And if mid lane Power of Evil wants to play a pokey type champion, that would also work.
Ну, урон, конечно, у Джина просто зашкаливающий, тем более ему еще добавили, что активация ловушки сразу же считается за скилл, то есть он может застанить. То есть ловушка дает замедление и попасть, в принципе, не так сложно уже становится Джину. И умеют команды спокойно уже использовать. И Power of Evil, как я и говорил, то есть первая игра на Ориане, вторая игра на Варусе. Ну, довольно предсказуемый пул героев. Я думаю, что поэтому Лиссандру и взяли. Потому что при том уроне, который есть у Unicorns of Love, это, конечно, дело секунд. Опять-таки у Origen количество танков впереди и жирность это просто нечто. То есть это, пожалуй, самые жирные товарищи, которые есть в игре. Ну, Наутилус, может, еще.
Yeah, it's a bold gambit, but we'll see if it pays off.
We will find out shortly. There, of course, was Sheepy and Nico the Pico just shaking hands and walking off stage. Origen 1-0 up. I like his nickname. It's a really cool
You roll up the tongue. It's fun to say.
So yeah, we'll find out if it's going to help out. Power of Evil, of course, is starting again, which I don't actually know if we said when we came back. Sorry about that one. Teams will have up to 5 minutes after the game to decide who the substitution is. You guys know the deal. Jump on Twitter and tell us who you think will win. Origen looking to advance to the semi-finals. I saw Amazing tweeting yesterday, Origen versus Fnatic final. Let's do it again. It starts by winning here.
Maybe we're on course for that. Maybe we're getting there. Interesting, well, not interesting, it's just something I was thinking because I was giggling at Nico the Pico. It's a shame he's not a musician or a Dragon Ball Z fan because it could be Niccolo the Piccolo.
Oh, that is meta.
But you know what's not so meta right now?
That?
Origen heading towards the top lane as a 4 or 5 man stack.
Uh-oh. Run! Oh, he's going to have to flash.
Well, there goes the lane.
Yeah, pretty much. That's everything we spoke about up until that point. Well, Sellers will be picking up that ward at least, and Lulek's defensive wards are going to have to quickly come down from Unicorns.
Man, realistically now, Chachi has to step into a lane and against a Poppy go, okay, well, I can't trade against you, and now I can't farm without using Parlay, so he no longer really has that option. Chachi,
no,
don't go back
not again.
Don't go in.
Not again.
Don't go in.
Oh, I think he's going
No.
to. I've seen this movie. It doesn't end well for Chachi. Origen, they're looking for first blood on Chachi. If this were a check game, not over your king, because this might be checkmate.
Все-таки взяли не ФБ, потратив практически все свои самонерки. Раз, два, три флеша, хил, экзост. И опять на ФБ попадается Визискади. Но опять-таки ФБ ушел Эмейзингу, то есть это не так страшно. Потому что он не дает такого прироста силы. Потому что, допустим, АДК там или мидер. Ух ты, и хорошо как попадают-то.
Amazing still going to get these auto attacks down. This could be a kill. Power's coming up. Power's up. It's going to be charged.
И уходит все-таки Хилисан. Просто на соплях каким-то чудом он выживает и не отдает.
Hindsight's 2020 at that point. Man, that flash.
Kill Varus.
Hilly with the nerves of steel to hold on to the flash until that very last moment.
What does this mean then for the laning setup? So, Origen initiates the very deep, very aggressive invade. They grabbed first blood onto Amazing. Small solace for Unicorns of Love. It's worth less gold. It was incredibly early into the game, so it's not super game changing in terms of gold value. Origen committed 1, 2, 3, 4 flashes already.
Поэтому
And not in standard lane,
воспользоваться
so there could be
ТБ особо не
opportunities for Lulex
получится.
if he finds a way in.
And this is his way in. With all of that movement in the top river, with Gragas
Много
showing
чего
up there,
будет
Lulex
зависеть от
knows there's no
Луликса,
way that Mason
конечно
can be on
же,
his red yet unless he
на
really
Лисине.
skipped a number of camps and goes there. So Lulex
Потому что
goes
если у
steals
него
away the red,
получится
and look
выпнуть
at how
кого-нибудь
Lucian
из керри
and Janna are pushing on the top side. They have
свою
this
команду,
early
его
game
там
push, so it means
уничтожат
Lulex has
просто
basically secured his
в
own
мгновение.
red just from having that pressure in the top lane. It means Lulex can swing back around and basically
Ну, а
start
если у него сзади
Yeah,
зайти
he's
не
actually sat
получится,
over the
ну,
wall right now, taking away these Raptors. Maybe have to set up
просто
again
мало
from
что
Power, because it's a little too
сделает.
far back. It would have to be instant burst and a flash from Fox, which not
Потому что
commit right
какого-то
now, but
полка
definitely agree with you guys.
у
Lulex, a
команды
lot of the onus is on him in the early game to make something happen.
Unicorns of Love
Gonna be
нету,
securing this
зато
grab, but
полк
problem
есть
is
у
always making
Origen.
current push, so he
И
just has
они
to farm
спокойно,
Jones
с
to
безопасного расстояния смогут спокойно их
bottom lane where the
убить.
top laners are currently doing
Но
battle.
опять-таки, кстати,
Chachi's got a level advantage, 10 CS in the lead as well.
поняшки могут спокойно влетать, потому что очень большие кулдауны у Ориджинов до определенного момента. То есть Звену Джине необходимо будет перезаряжаться.
Yeah, Australia lanes will continue to go on. So as is
То есть 4 автоатаки и перезарядка, что не есть прям очень хорошо. Точно так же и Power Fuel. Он, конечно, очень большой урон наносить может, но
the reason Chachi is ahead in this lane is after dying, Chachi just ran bot. It was like, well, I don't care about
у
anything
него
else.
КД очень большие, особенно на начальной стадии игры.
Getting some experience on the kill, it was a very minor amount. So Chachi had already got that experience back. By the time Soaz shows up, so Chachi hits level 2, manages to shove the wave out, and it was all to do with the timing from Soaz not being able to get down bottom, didn't want to use his teleport. It was way too early to do that in the standard lane scenario. So ultimately, that's why Chachi is somewhat
И
ahead.
заходит Лисин, но там все заваривано. Ну, как раз таки и сигнализирует, потому что, скорее всего, там вард.
My favorite thing to say when I see a tier is that Power People is stacking it. It has started. 33 CS to Fox's 37. And that is a fairly signature Power People champion, if ever I've seen one. Arguably one of the first Varus players late last year.
Yeah.
A lot of experience on the pitch.
Maybe you could argue Faker did it first, but Faker did everything first, so... but yeah, on the opposite side, Fox gone for double Darren's, trying to get a little bit more health early. Goes for double cloth armor as well, because it is of course a high physical damage team that Origen are running. So if you can mitigate some of that damage, that's what they're looking for. Dead flourish on the healer side. He's dead. He's out of there.
Yeah, it's not done yet. Still back.
Крит. Судя по всему, крит от Джина, потому что просто мгновенно сдуло как-то. Но Стилбэк провоцирует, но нет, все-таки не стал сидеть там Лисин долгое время. Ну Amazing в курсе, где сейчас вражеский лесник, поэтому спокойно, не боясь, идет на вражескую сторону леса. На его-то стороне все пусто. Классно использовал, конечно. Так, и смотрим. Посмотрим, что из этого. Но нет, ничего из этого не будет.
Or relative safety, because Soaz is now closing in from the top side. That's going to be the cue to Soaz. Nice block.
Получил. О, и отфлешиваться приходится Луликсу. И опять минус флеш у Жанны. И тут подошел Power of Evil и... Мифи все-таки выживает. Не хватает пока урона. Гонпланку. Если бы у него, в принципе, первым митом была колотушка, то, может быть, и хватило. А так... А так, с Шином там много не сваришь. необходима автоатака. То есть в состоянии на линии довольно удобно иметь шин, потому что можно спамить скиллами чуть почаще.
To go and support the team. It has hurt him somewhat in CS, but I think that's important to note because it's not something we really associated with PoE during the early stages of the splits.
We didn't, but at the same time, Lulex was actually parked out pretty effectively. That Origen saw on the vision, on the wards, and that's what allowed Power to start moving top. And it was the same thing that allowed SOAS to drop back in his lane and get the teleport.
I mean, it's still an early game, but Unicorns would love have two TPs, in which you'd expect them to be better at those side lane plays. When you have those 2v2s, it should be in their advantage. Ultimately not, because of how the early game went.
Exactly, I mean, very rarely in a 2 versus 2
Соответственно, Лулик еще очень и очень сквишовый персонаж. Очень долгое время еще будет, поэтому опасно влетать в размены там 3 в 2.
Bugger. That is the most British thing I've heard all week. Now we're going back to our standard laning phase. 1-0-1. Yeah, that's what Sven is on currently. And he has that BF sword, 71 farm, looking to scale up like he was last game. This time, Amazing is going to be taking half of that kill gold in this early game at least. And for the rest of this laning phase,
ну, разница вообще
I feel like nothing should happen, but then Miffy lands a perfect killer. Not quite there, but just a little bit of damage, bit by bit, slowly poking them down.
И вот показывает свое лицо.
Now with Lulex coming in around the side, this could be a kill setup.
Это будет точно килл.
He's taken out by Lulex. Final kill credit to Steelback. Miffy will be the next target. Booted backwards into Fox's waiting hands. 2 easy kills for Unicorns.
Didn't even matter at the
все-таки слишком долго стояли Origen без ХП, ну и проспали.
Lulex wasn't spotted out until it was way too late, and the Unicorns with a good
little invade through the top jungle into the top lane, getting
2 kills. That's a significant swing. That was a 2,000 gold advantage now, taking that top tower. Mid lane's going to be responded from Origen, but they have ability coming in. They can't clear this one fast enough. Fox is going to be there for wave clear, and Unicorns have loved just getting the lane game.
А, ну нет, тут все-таки на скилле.
Impossible position right now. He can't escape down the lane. He can't run back through the minions because the GP ult and he tanked them up. So impossible without any kind of lockdown. And he gets exhausted because the Unicorns had so much in this fight that it was really always going to be their fight.
Использовал
slight misstep there. He walked forward into Steelback with the shield on top of him and just took the full burst from Steelback, which put him in kill position.
Просто гигантское количество урона нанес.
Doesn't follow the ultimate, doesn't have it, and there's a tornado to follow up. Power View was going to respond. Probably will get an exit arrow, and that'll be it onto Hillesang.
Got a lot of damage down onto Hillesang, but it is only
Использует экзост. Ну, маленькая победа, опять же. Экзост, что у Хиллесанга, нету, что у Мифи, поэтому тут небольшой паритет.
Somehow Hillesang managed to die in the 2v2 earlier, and then Steelback stayed ahead. He's done a good job of keeping himself up in this game, and even before that last fight was heavily up in CS against Sven.
Well, the man that is so fond and so fed of Unicorns is the target. Chachi's alone in the top lane. No route from the flourish. This pillar blocks off the retreat for Chachi.
Good luck here, buddy. You're gonna need it. Amazing coming in. SOAS against the wall. There's the ultimate now coming in from Jin, and Chachi, he's a dead man. He'll be going down. Fast kill over to Origen.
He survived for a long time.
Довольно быстрый такой ответ в исполнении Origen. И опять они вылавливают изи Чачи. Опять-таки он может себе это позволить, потому что у него, ну, 2 ассиста у него есть, и аутфарм почти на 40 крипов, это в 1,5 раза. Ну, вовремя все-таки Power of Evil сработал, и сейчас Lulex умирать будет. Килл немного не тому уходит, конечно. И отправляет Чачи обратно домой. чтобы парочку ударов нанести, но все-таки выживает. И умрет. Нет, все-таки умер. Powerful думал, закроют его. И чуть-чуть догорит, нет? Нет, не догорел.
That was actually dirty. Oh, deadly flourish doesn't quite land onto Hillasang. I think we're good. Maybe. I think so. He's charging up the arrow. Oh, he actually goes for steal back. The old bait and switch, but he dodges out of it anyway.
Ooh, okay.
Был шанс убить все-таки Жанну, потому что на ней 2 метки уже было.
Realistically, Unicorns getting a little bit, but Lulex got picked off to begin.
Ну и размен в итоге 1-1.
Good layering of crowd control. Could have maybe got Fox at the same time, but he didn't aggro it. So watch where the tower aggroes here. Doesn't actually hit onto Fox at all. So Fox
хорошо здесь сыграл.
A little bit of room here to move, but it's Lulex that ends up dying. And ultimately, that kind of sets the tone for what Origen aimed for here. Fox wants to go aggressive though at all points in this game. It's a big departure from what we've seen from Fox. Even utilizes the ultimate.
Довольно самонадеянно впереди решил стоять и
Steelback isn't confident enough to go forward here because he's seen Amazing come from the side. Finally he steps forward, but isn't really that confident to go under the tower. It's still too healthy, he can't just take it out.
Если была ульта у Джина, было бы все намного веселее.
Who am I going to go for? Steal back, but he's got the reactions. It's also really nice from Power Beaver. The preemptive flash into the ultimate meant that Lulex only had one way to get out. He couldn't go into the virus, he had to go towards the guy who'd been infected by the ultimate from Power Beaver. He gets locked down, and that's an easy kill.
I'm very impressed with Power Beaver in a few games that we've seen already. Just some of his mechanical decisions, the shockwaves. Look, I think he fired a lot.
Хотя в таком пике Жанна особо много не делает против Origen, потому что взлетать они особо и не планируют. То есть они полагаются на пол, и вот о чем я говорил. Поппи прям не переживает по поводу ганпланка уже. Достаточно затанкованности и бежать к ганпланку приходится. И первая вышка для Origen. Однако 2 с небольшим тысячи все-таки преимущество у Unicorns Love остается. Ох ты, и шикарнейше сыграли, конечно. И ганпланк у нас получает еще один ассист. Закресил себе ассист. Ульта там, конечно, особо не нужна была, но лишняя голда ганпланку не бывает, конечно. Ну и хорошо, очень Фокс играет, очень полезно, везде появляется вовремя. То есть, смотрите, из 5 киллов 4 на его счету. Ну, я не беру дурость, типа, кто нанес последний удар, тот и убил. Нет, я считаю, в том числе и ассисты, потому что это как минимум логично. То есть ты участвовал в тимфайте и ты полезен для команды. А то, что ты там нанес последнюю тычку, так это как бы и саппорт может. Поэтому шлите нафиг упоротых товарищей, которые смотрят только на киллы, потому что они реально упоротые. И довольно слабо понимают эту игру. И умрет. Кучу всего, конечно, потратили, но убрали Жанну. Теперь у них особо дизенгейджа нету. Так, и идет. И великолепнейшее просто сковывание от Лиссандры. ХП не так много, поэтому посмотрим, сколько Соус проживет. И убивает Соус в очередной раз, просто аутплеит своих соперников.
One versus two managed to stay alive. You can see the Origen staff down in the bottom part of your screen. Really
Соус, конечно же, ждет просто. И сейчас Лулекс. Ну, нет. Он уже накупил себе ХП, у него есть ботинки на армор. И особо он по этому поводу не переживает. А Соус вполне себе уверенный. Ну, вообще, просто гигантское количество. Ульта Грагаса, ульта Джина, ульта Варуса. То есть все для того, чтобы убить саппорта. Ну и Фокс в очередной раз просто прекрасно перешел и смогли все-таки спастись. И только что убили Хюлисанга. Как-то повтор бы хоть что ли сделали. И минус. Вышка на миду. И я думаю, кто-то сейчас умрет. Визичачий вообще какую-то фигню творит. То есть его даже в интро воткнули. Там какое-то интервью было. И в очередной раз Соус. Но нет, не в этот раз. Слишком он себя переоценил, чтобы вылетать одному в команду соперников, тем более в Лиссандру, а у него на Магрезиста пока совсем не густо. Ну, по количеству голды, в принципе, все то же самое. А, ну наконец-то нам показывают. То есть опять ульта, две ульты на то, чтобы убить одну Жанну. Ну, это как-то... Ну, взгляд, это как-то не очень немного. Киллы это, конечно, хорошо, но... Но с другой стороны, а смысл держать ульту, если ты все равно в ближайшие минуты не будешь пользоваться? Поэтому лучше уж использовать и получить от этого какой-то профит, чем просто держать ее про запас у себя в кармане.
It is. This is actually bank plank, but he's made some really bad investments, and one of his bonds is actually starting to pay out now. It's the one he put in agriculture.
Well, you need to find out whether or not that bond is going to be enough to take down Origen. Unicorns of Love are still down a game in the series.
Ну, Джин уже получил Infinity.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's because Chachi's just been out of position starting off these fights, but he's not getting a lot done. He landed one chain of barrels onto like 2 tanks in that fight and just didn't do a lot of damage. Maybe when he hits 2 items, I mean, of course, that's the big power spike for Gangplank. He's not there quite yet, but he hasn't had a big impact on this game. That will probably change as we go into mid-late game.
Easy tower secured here from Unicorns. Just a show of force. The moment Origen are pushing down bottom and Sven and Mithy were pushing up, instant reply from UOL, but it looks like Origen want a tower of their own.
Yeah, now being chased after. It's got 3-man gang squad coming into the bottom lane. That's the TP as well. It's very good. Try and lock him down.
And the Glacial Path comes in. A flash forward from Fox onto Sven. And Sven will be deleted. Vizitachi parlays him down. A culling from Steelback. But the hammer comes out from Poppy.
Get out of here, nerds. And now Steelback will follow up. There's the kill. There's the double tap. And Amazing will be backing away. That's 2 kills over to the Unicorns of Love.
That was an uncharacteristic mistake from Sven. The long range W. You can see we've... That caught me off guard.
Thank you, producers. That was a fantastic shot. All right,
unlike Sven's W.
Piercing arrow for a steal. Piercing arrow for a steal. No, too early. Smited away by Lulex.
Yeah, Sven, I kind of want to watch. We're going to have a replay of that coming. I'm pretty convinced. There we go. With Sven, that's within a screen's length. Okay, if that was blind.
Yeah, no, you see the particle.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of knew, but uncharacteristic from Sven. And ends up dying for it, means that Origen don't really have enough damage to take the rest of this. Fox has been playing really well this game, by the way. His lockdowns, his target prioritization has been very good so far. He's been involved in 8 of 9 kills for Unicorns so far. He's going forward again. Chachi with the second TP coming through.
I'm not going to be quite in range. Ambitious.
Optimistic.
Слишком быстро.
However, Flourish runs up front. And that's going to be a self-ult there. Amazing coming in from the side to try and
Попал, второй раз попал в замедление и...
That's an ultimate coming across just in case Fox decides to follow up. Lulex, he just probably want to make himself scarce. In the mid lane, he's getting chased down.
The dancing grenade bounces across the minion line. Steelback's able to
Так,
QSS his way
все-таки
to safety.
здесь выживет ли он после этого, но...
The piercing arrow tags Fox and he'll take the path to safety. Amazing, goes down with a body slam, so they've replied with one back. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Origen.
2-for-1 for Origen, but look at how low Unicorns are. They have to back themselves away. Amazing is fairly healthy. Soaz has enough health. They can swap the aggro now on this Baron, and there's no real response.
Жанна, в принципе, может вмешаться, там, запускать ветерки, но опять-таки у них нет вардов и опасно. Ну и классный шот-фолл от Origen.
I was going to say, shot in the dark, but Baron doesn't change position.
No, that is very true.
Implemented juking in 6.6, just like a wacky...
Yeah, he goes back down, comes back up, it's like whack-a-mole.
Ну вот зачем Звен третий пустил вообще непонятно куда. Третий, там, точнее четвертый. Четвертый же выстрел наносит максимальный урон, и вполне вероятно было добить Фокса, но не стал.
Again, I just want to praise Soaz finding those heroic charges at the wall. I know it sounds like an easy thing.
И в очередной раз какое-то мясо.
Pele comes out from mid-thing, amazing, eats I think every single bullet from the culling, but it's not enough to cull him. Fox goes down, piercing arrow will not drop him though. And with Baron still active on 5 members,
ну, благодаря такой полезности Градос уже очень-очень жирный.
Yeah, I appreciate the thought coming in from Unicorns of Love. Try and be the aggressors on Origin before they hit the towers, because as soon as they get there, they're going to be like a siege engine.
Он выживает, уже есть капюшончик на магазин. Прокастовый Лиссандр он все-таки благополучно выдержал. Ну и размен синими бафами.
But if Unicorns can get the aggressive play onto Sven and Paravival in the next couple of minutes, they neither of them
отдали все-таки Power синий баф.
There is a QSS, however, on Sven, so he should be able to keep himself alive. Soaz is playing the zoning ult.
Yeah, it's going to be able to at least get the tower low. Box and the teleport available if it's needed. Curtain call for 1, 2, 3 misses. And the fourth will tag Hillside, but the tower will drop shortly. Chain of corruption onto Unicorns.
Amazing is going in, and Visit Chachi is going out. Fox into the backline to pop his ultimate. Lulex over the wall. Lands the kick onto Soaz, but doesn't chain it into anything else. Amazing comes in. There's the double over to Soaz, and Steelback will also be going down. The triple, looking for the quad. That will be taken up by Power of Evil, and now Lulex is in full retreat. He will be getting away here, but this should be major damage to the Unicorn's base.
With the Baron buff still on Origin, it could even be critical. There is no minion wave yet. 30 seconds still remain on the death line. It's 100% in it, but I don't think Lulex is enough to stop Nexus Towers going down here.
How confident are Origen? They're looking at the Nexus, gonna back this one away. 20 seconds before Unicorns would be all back to life. 7,000 gold Baron power play. They have turned this game on its head and are in absolute control.
Yeah, nice rounding, mate, but still, it's a really good advance for them. We're going to see that last team fight once again.
Yeah, we're going to see it, and look at Fox's positioning as he goes in. So Chachi manages to tangerine himself out of the chains of corruption. Fox goes in, lands the Ring of Frost. Sven didn't even pop his QSS in.
Ну и положение вообще
reposition in this fight.
позиционирование
Scumbag Power of
Джина,
Evil's like,
конечно, вообще
well, if I get a couple
шикарнейшее.
of kills, maybe they won't trade me out on this game.
He still hasn't died.
He's had a really good series.
Yeah.
He actually has. Did he die in the first game?
I don't think.
I think he was like 3-0 and something, and now he's 2-0 and 10.
А Соус уже
Pretty good.
просто игнорирует
Very good thus far.
AD-шных персонажей,
45 seconds until the next dragon is up.
соперников.
Unicorns have got 2 of them already. There's some team damage stats for that previous fight. Real surprise. Power People and Sven just putting the herd down.
Power of Evil очень даже неплохо продамажил. Ну и Фокс вообще, пожалуй, MVP команды Evil в данной серии. Ну, очень он уж полезен. И опять по традиции уже все влупили, все что было, и бейзрейс, посмотрим, Грагас там, конечно, помешается, но задефать, я думаю, не получится. Соус еще и умрет. Нет, смотрите-ка, Соус выжил и успел прийти Звен для того, чтобы отдефать. А Power of Evil спокойненько пушит. Ну и Чачи все-таки сбежал. Но идет Соус, поэтому... Power of Evil умрет. Потому что против Фокса и Спилбека ему не потянуть. Потому что Люциан вполне себе отожранный, точно так же, как и Лиссандра. Так, ну и верхний лайн открыт, поэтому Origen сейчас необходимо его давить. Тогда крипы пойдут с двух сторон. И уже будет до того, чтобы контест там на Шора.
He's died a bunch this game, alright, he's gangplank, he scales up, but he still hasn't had an impact because of the multiple times he's being called out on an individual level.
This time, though, Unicorns were doing well after that, despite getting caught. Unicorns were looking good aggressively with Lulex. Fox was having a great set of positioning in teamfights, locking down multiple people. The problem was that started to not become enough. Power of Evil caught out Hylissang twice, 3 times in the mid game, and it was enough to crack open, the initial towers. They got past the mid lane. They kept landing the long range abilities, and Origen just got a couple of these small skirmishes, and it added up to the point where Origen started to take the lead.
Поняшкам сейчас необходимо начинать уже драки, потому что разница по голде минимальная. 2000, ну, не так много. И Звена получается небольшой, как бы сказать-то, небольшой потенциал для того, чтобы автоатачить. То есть 4 автоатаки необходима перезарядка. Точно так же Power of Evil, только с еще большей задержкой. Поэтому можно вполне себе успешно залететь. И потенциал для автоатак намного больше команды Unicorns. Так, ну они как-то уже хоть кого-то, чтобы убить. Ну это какое-то, не знаю, это истерика.
For Fox to use the ultimate onto the support It is just not good enough. Unicorns lose 2.
Yeah, Fox could not get himself deep enough into the fight, and he's having to still run away from Soaz. Flash over the wall.
Oh, it's not done yet. Soaz is going to lob the buckler into Fox's face in a minute.
Вполне может их гонять.
Soaz wants to fight.
Well, he's locking up 2 people. He will go down to Steelbank, but if Origen can capitalize on this will be worth it. Sven, he's looking for Lulex. He's still very tanky, but he has to wall jump away, and Sven is still looking for him. He's reloading his ammo, and now he's going for 4. There's 1, there's 2.
Ой, не ушел.
Minion wave comes past and high fives on the way out. Sven will be going back to base in style.
Sven says, "Do you feel lucky, Punk?" And apparently, no, Lulex is not his lucky day. Baron even went over to Origen at the same time, and this was just a much better fight from Origen, kiting up through the jungle. We didn't see Fox get the lockdown that he needed to. Soaz didn't even hit his ultimate.
Миссия уже достаточно жирный.
Origen just positioned in a way that Fox can never get in. From here, it's an easy turnaround from Origen. And I mean, Soaz runs all the way down the river. There was an eerie silence during my headset, so...
Because of how much damage Whisper was doing.
Соаз чуть-чуть себе подпортил статистику.
Unicorn's trying to clear out this midway, but I need to start criticizing Lulex's picks though, because he's been landing a lot of them on the front line, trying to get them into the back line, obviously because it does more damage if the target has higher health. But he's just like 3 in a row, which really haven't done very much.
I thought you were going to talk about his shoes then. I was going to be like, what are those?
What are those shoes?
Not this time round.
Немного не понимаю, почему Origen идут по миду, в то время, когда открыт ингибитор на топе. То есть шансов, что Юола дадут ингибитор второй, намного больше, чем то, что их смогут продавить на миду. Потому что разница небольшая в голде. Соответственно, и в уроне тоже. Я бы даже сказал, что у Юола больше урона, потому что у них 3 дэмэдж-дилера.
Yeah, honestly, Unicorns don't really have enough to deal with multi-waves of Baron minions, but they're only being pushed in on 2 really at this point. Origen haven't pushed the bottom lane through, so it means Steelback does have enough here.
Well, Lulex is trying to make a play here. Fox has gone in from the side, but the instant exhaust will stop him from doing anything for a while. And Chains of Corruption comes across. And the volley fire from the backside, will it be enough? Hillasang, he's dropping low. Lulex takes a big shot, will be jumping towards Fox to try and get it out of here. And Origen keep up the chase. Hillasang goes down. Steelback will have to back away. And now Origen push into the base.
Power of Evil and Sven are always
Сделали все-таки они наконец-то этот ингибитор на топе, ну и сейчас под нашором просто затанчат и на миду. Ну снесите вы вышку, ну что же, я не знаю, какой-то ерундой страдают. Берутся под таймером. Зачем? Просто добейте тауэр, осталось 1-2 тычки. И умрет. Умрет 2 килла и я думаю, что 3. Ну, у Amazing'а... Так, а что у него собрано? 10%, 20%, ну 20% КДР, поэтому все-таки он свое брюхо все-таки спасает.
You cannot really underestimate how much damage he has.
35-second death timers for 2 members of Origen. Sven is trying to use the curtain call to put some
И
damage
первый
down.
ингиб, наверное, все-таки будет. Да. Вот она, цена респауна с очень большим временем. Вот это, я не понимаю сейчас Грагас на боте, что он там делает. То есть их вполне сейчас могли его спуститься и убить, потому что вардов не было у Origen.
That is all that stands between their final objective. And yes, again, Fox looking for an engage, but Sven and Power of Evil, they're miles away.
Yeah, he was looking for Mithy in this, even has the ultimate himself.
Ну и вот оно, расстояние, с которого могут поливать Варус и Джин. То есть Фокс очень пытался, прям очень-очень. То есть смотрите, они начинают драться в то время, когда вышка бьет. То есть Трангл сдох вообще просто так, танкуя вышку и отдав в итоге килл соперникам. Прям совсем не очень. Ну и вот здесь вот надо было отходить, они все-таки решили попробовать драться, и из этого все-таки Иолы смогли что-то выжить, а точнее несколько киллов.
As long as they can push mid slightly, it'll come in
3,
at the same time as that top lane. So they do have to compete with mid lane super minions, but should be able to push up towards this bottom lane inhibitor. They also want to just shove it in so that it gives them the freedom
И мы получаем в очередной раз раскормленного Люциана. А Фокс так он и не может инициировать тимфайт.
His TP available while he's dealing with Unicorn super minions in the middle lane.
Потому что возможностей очень много, но как-то не складывается все. Есть ВСС уже у Джина, очищение у Power of Evil, поэтому они довольно защищены в течение определенного времени, конечно. И 1500 криты у Джина, это нормально.
And only have one on the bottom side.
As I can see two, one in the lane and one by the blue buff on the side of Origen. So.
Yes, one. I see the one in the lane.
Cup. Not a lot. Is the point we're trying to
spotting?
Right. So I was reading off the minimap and they were standing over the portrait, but like that's not really granting you the Baron vision, and it's coming up now. And Origen need the Baron realistically to push in definitively.
Так, а там на правой половине как-то слишком много, по-моему, джиновских ловушек, если я не ошибаюсь. Не очень получился взлет, конечно же. Ну и вот то, чем они воспользовались. И дефать надо, дефать ингибитор, потому что там подошла очень большая волна. Ну вот о чем я и говорил, то есть урона у Иолов намного больше. Тем более у них он мало того, что бёрстовый, то есть они его могут довольно мгновенно вынести, так еще у них и возможности продолжительно его наносить. То есть у Люциана перманентно вообще высокий урон за счет использования пассивки и небольших кулдаунов. У Лиссандры то же самое, то есть у нее макс КДР, они могут спамить, ну а про ганпланка я вообще молчу уже. И все-таки Лиссандру опять в очередной раз досталось, идет Фокс, отфлешивается Свен и все-таки зацепил ганпланка, а Фокс пытается по максимуму выжить. Ну и сейчас им необходимы ингибиторы, то есть они уже особо не думают о нашоре, и кулдауны, минутные кулдауны будут двое дефать, и саппорт, и самые сильные товарищи, и Amazing сейчас просто Уликса спасает, ну я думаю ненадолго. Ну и это вторая игра для Origen. Как-то сегодня совсем плохо играют. Юолы, такое ощущение, что их подменили, и ничего интересного даже предложить не могут своим соперникам.
Game 2 of the series, not quite as crisp for Origen. It looked to be great in the very, very early part of the game before Chachi, after
Потому что
dying,
все шансы у Юолов победить в этой игре были, но не использовали свой потенциал для продолжительных боев. Потому что Origen могли что-то сделать, ну как бы за счет полка. У них не было такого постоянного урона, и этим необходимо было пользоваться. То есть спровоцировать их на то, чтобы они все потратили, а они любили тратить, то есть спокойненько в Жанну там 3 ульты спустить, это нормально было. Поэтому можно было их спокойно провоцировать на то, чтобы они потратили свои ульты и потом влететь и просто уничтожить. Однако этого решили они не делать, за что в очередной раз и поплатились. Но пока ждем еще одну игру, я надеюсь, она все-таки будет последняя, и спокойно пойдем спать.
I don't want to focus on the negative too much because we've seen...
We do.
We actually do. Let's start with the endgame fight around Baron because the UOL, even after everything that happened in the game, they were not out of it. But then this happened. Well, this is not it actually.
Oh, this is different. Let's see what happens here. Complete surprise, but
this is interesting as well.
This perhaps could have been a good game.
Yeah.
We just leaked something.
No, in any case, we'll get that replay in just a second because the story of the game for me was that Origen still with making the mistakes. UOL just made so many individual mistakes on a lot of their players, which also showed in that final call in Baron.
See.
So remember the setup here? They just killed Amazing and he's still dead right now, and they actually do a 4v5 Baron with Lissandra on the way. My problem here is Unicorns of Love as a team has enough time to say, do we turn or do we finish? Half the team stays on Baron to try and finish it, and then the other half jumps out. Like Lulex jumps out, doesn't manage to kick flashback anyone. Now Lissandra jumps in just on Mithy alone, and I know it can be very, very hard as a team. Like normally late game, there's a lot of people yelling. I mean, Sean, you probably listened a lot to it, and like some panic. But as a team here, I feel like you have enough time to say, if they come in this 4v5, we turn or we finish Baron.
There is usually what we call, like, there is a sort of line that if you cross it, then I think...
Do not cross line.
Yeah, you do not cross this line, and I want to express this feeling by saying, like, if you cross this line of Baron Nashor, the quick shot bingo says you are getting deleted.
God knows. This is your notes from the game? This is actually your notes from the game?
You know how good the game is when your main analyst that you invite is like, ooh, quick shot, bingo!
So on a more
That's
serious...
what quick shot would say, because obviously you cannot like throw by going Nash and or semi-team fighting. It's either you do Nash, either you do not do Nash, and there's sort of line that it goes into the pixel bush, in the river, and if they cross this line, you can go on them because there's actually enough range. But I think, Unicorn was a bit preemptive into those kind of fights and make them lose the game in the end.
And what exemplified that it was a spur-in-the-moment call there was the fact that Hylissang was the first one to step out of the pit. Like, he was trying to, like, kind of engage and kind of help peel for his team to finish Baron, but as Janna versus this comp, you can't do that because Monsoon actually doesn't have the range to reset anybody. You will die and get poked out outside of your ult reset range, so in this composition, this Janna should wait for somebody to get aggroed on, then flash or walk in and try and reset the fight. It's not really going to help much, but it would be slightly better.
Which ultimately brings us to the picks and bans, because I think you called out that pick when it came up in the beginning as well, in terms of UOL going into this pick and ban phase this time on red side. What do we make of it besides that, Janna?
It's a strange composition in a sense, like compared to what we're used to now in this meta here, because obviously Gangplank coming in as a counter pick to Poppy. I really like it in standard lanes because it actually beats out Poppy early on, and I think the last pick, Lissandra, saved the entire draft because at first Origen saw, okay, they have no engage. Like, top lane is a Gangplank, They have a Janna support, obviously completely useless against poke, so they lock in the Varus Jhin, and super smart. Lissandra last pick obviously made it a lot easier for Unicorns to play this game, but they still had to execute a 1-3-1, which they didn't manage to do that well.
I just think like in this draft, obviously, if you get 2v2 standards, it's really good. Like Lucian Janna into Jhin Trash and GP into Poppy, and then even though like Lee Sin cannot really gank Poppy because of the W of Poppy, I think that if they win that, it sets up the 1-3-1 really well, because if you open the bot turret, which was on top in this game, then after you open the other turret, then you usually have the pressure down in the mid lane, and then after you just win the game out of that. But Unicorn did some mistakes.
Yeah, so that's how it started. They got those favorable lanes, you know, as you said, Janna, Lucian pushing in, and then it leads to teleports. And I think we have a good example on one of the replays here, what the Unicorns want to do with double teleport compositions later on the 1-3-1. This is Origen defending their tower. Obviously, look at the matchup here. Double range versus melee and range. They will generally get pushed in, barring any major jungle interaction. And now the Unicorns, they pushed up mid, so Power of Evil is struggling to clear this wave. Fox has his Ice Set on the top lane. There's a GP ulti available. That comes in right now. It just signals the dive. And plays like this, that's the bread and butter of any Lissandra composition.
Yeah, it's a very good roam coming. Also, Amazing had just showed himself on bottom side, so they knew they could all in on the dive. And it's what always will happen when you have these comps where side lanes are automatically pushing in. Because it gives you that false sense of security that, oh, I have a tower. Don't worry, I can just hide under my tower and it's fine. But when there come two extra guys roaming in, they will always just take you down.
I mean, just like, how can you change your picks and bans when there's a guy in a unicorn mask standing next to you? Like, you're playing, like, what we just had on screen. Like, they're preparing for the final match, potentially losing playoffs, and then, I definitely agree we should have had that pick. The guy just, like, has a...
Hey, I mean, it might be relevant.
I don't know, maybe they should take off the unicorn hat.
However, we are quite negative on Unicorns, but they are 0-2 down. I want to look at what... that is true. I want to look at what both teams wanted to achieve with their comps and what ended up happening. Because OG did go for that poke comp, but in the first half of the game, they didn't play correctly to make that work.
Yeah, obviously, the first thing I want to remember is that where is Nidalee? I didn't see it neither in blue or red. Just saying, where do you know Nidalee? Anyway, talking to the next steps, is like they are picking two static champions, Varus and Jhin. They are really good together, just poking, shoving the mid wave and stuff. I think that in LCS it did not work that much because obviously Jhin, we could never like match Lissandra in the side lane, so you have to send a lot of people. But if you send 3 people on Lissandra, it means the rest of the map is open. So to be honest, by winning standard lane, I don't even know really why would the Unicorn lose or force teamfight where they can just win in map pressure.
I think that's the key point. Unicorns had everything they needed to win because you saw Origen try and send the Jhin to side lane, like push out this lane, instant TP on him, just kill him. Those kind of plays are great, but when you didn't have the 1-3-1 late on in the game, you need to value pushing your side lanes over just taking whatever fight you can possibly get. And this game turned into Unicorns go out to the side lanes, be ready to set it up and look great, to be like, oh, we could actually fight right here. TP into mid lane or run in with the Gangplank who randomly were flanking like from Chachi multiple times. He's not been playing a good game. And they just kept taking teamfights and teamfights and teamfights. And that actually meant that Origen's composition, despite it not being able to reply on side lanes, had a way to win because they got to play teamfights and not play split push.
Origen did fall behind like 3,000 gold in the early game. I don't think either game has been decided by the drafts. Both teams like were winnable. It just comes out to play. I think that's our second replay where we have a bit of a questionable fight in the mid lane where, things just go awry. Don't actually know how it all started, but let's roll it, see if I can remember. It's probably really here engaging on Healer Sign, but it ends up turning just finally getting an opening for Origen, and I feel like every time this happens, the Unicorns forget how to play the game. They no longer 1-3-1 and they commit to these fights.
Now Lissandra should push, which is really good, but Vichy should not be there. What is he doing? Like, right now he gets caught, so he forced the fact that Lissandra has a good map pressure. So now it's an even fight, because in terms of map, like number advantage, and then after the problem is in this fight, I think, even if it was even, Lulex should not chase this.
Yeah, obviously never chase these kills. Just stay with your team, take out the Poppy here, and you actually go even in the fight. But even if people looked at the minimap just before the fight started, the minion waves were already pushed down, so the setup was actually fine for Unicorns, but the champions had already committed, the players had already committed to saying, we actually should just go mid and start fighting. Have they just stuck to the waves way before?
Look at the end as well, the waves were at the enemy turrets, like they could have had GP on one side, potentially TP out worst case, Lissandra at the other, because that mid lane wave was gonna die, and Origen used so many of their abilities already on the Janna, so they could have stalled out, but Unicorns, they forget how to play their composition. They don't play to their strengths, and then
They greed for fights.
they greed for fights.
They just want to fight.
So the question is it because they obviously don't know how to make those macro game decisions? Because I feel like if you take one of the people away that's making mistakes, or it is Lulex, or it is Vizicachi, or it is Hilisan, if they all step up a little bit, this game is so much closer.
It's just you need a voice, a calm voice. And I think their comms right now are going to be very panicky. It's like, oh, I'm caught. They need a calm voice actually guiding everybody, and they need to be on the same page. And it's just a helping attitude, you know. Oh, my teammate's caught. Let me quickly walk in. And how many times have we seen it before? With one guy, if they sacrifice him, fine, the map is savable. But no, you got to step in. One more guy gets caught. I mean, I'm sure it happens plenty times in scrims.
And I want to add that when you are getting caught or you are doing mistakes or things are going wrong, I think you should always play more tanks. Like, do not rely on squishy champions, because if you do, for example, a mistake with Alistar, it's fine. Like, Alistar was banned in this draft, but in case it happens, if you get caught, you will not get punished that hard if you have like Janna or Gangplank. If you just play, like, okay, Maokai is not the best into Poppy, but maybe Trundle, I would say, top.
Yeah, that gives you more room for error.
This was possible in the draft. I think if you play those champions with Lissandra, with like Steelback is playing insanely well, Lissandra, Lucian, and tanks, plus like maybe damage jungler, like Nidalee, then you can really win the games without doing mistakes.
We'll see what they do, because the Unicorns of Love need to do something if they want to win this next game and remain in the series. Origen is at match point. We're going to take a quick break. Game 3 is coming your way right after this.
Let's do it like chess, Samieska.
What did they do?
They lost 1-0, got stomped, and then 3-1.
Tanks down. This could be a kill.
Power's coming up.
Power's up. It's going to be charging out.
Oh! Sven gets tagged, he's taken out by Lulex. Final kill credit to Steelback. Miffy will be the next target. Booted backwards into Fox's waiting hands. Amazing. Does not find the body slam onto Fox. And the piercing arrow. Fire. Not gonna get him. Fox survives. But the hammer comes out from Poppy.
Get out of here, nerds. And now Steelback will follow up. There's the kill. There's the double tap.
Outlet. Go for listen. Lissandra. Lucian. Nice. I snare. No, I don't snare.
Keep going. Archie, follow up, as well as Steelback. There's no more damage for the Unicorns of Love. And a golden Fox is sent packing.
OG with that final move will be calling checkmate.
Who is the trolliest player on G2?
Perks.
Yes, that's also true. Are you a better LoL coach or better LoL player?
Coach.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I've seen the records.
Thank you.
What do you call a group of wolves?
A pack.
Good. What do you call a group of pro players?
A team.
Nice! That was a trick question. You got it. What percentage of the Netherlands landmass was reclaimed from lakes and the sea?
17%.
How on earth do you know that one, young buck? We'll never know.
Right now we are in a top position in which we are middle table, top 6. And if we at least made it to semifinals, it will kind of mean that we improved over the split, right? If you improve, you at least will go with yourself. And right now we have been a top 6 team. We have been like that the whole split, and making it to semifinals will mean that we have improved at least a step. And maybe even getting to the finals or third place, it will already be like, yeah, okay, we improved a lot. We improved late, but we did.
Man, all of these Peke videos are a bit of a tease, just like Peke's April Fool's joke, if you saw that, becoming an artist. But, you know, Power of Evil's back in. Welcome back if you're just joining us. This quarterfinal series is on match point for Origen. The teams are settling down on stage. I'm looking forward to seeing now Game 3.
Power of Evil is starting.
Yep.
So Peke will not be jumping in just yet, despite all the video clips. So let's see if Power of Evil can make it 3 for 3. They're on the red side this time.
Yeah, and Origen have been doing so well in this game, but we wanted to take a look at the top lane specifically, because that's where really unicorns have just been bleeding out.
They have been bleeding out. There you go. You see the stats on screen. As Chachi has not been having the best of series. I mean, he got a good farm advantage in the last game, but died so many times. 15 deaths in 2 games.
Just for context as well, across the 18 regular split games, Chachi gave up 51 deaths. In 2 quarterfinal games, he's died 15 times. It is a phenomenal number, and it just feels like he's not in the zone today. He's not where he needs to be, and Origen are finding him and punishing him. Both games in a row he gave up first blood.
And honestly, it is a bigger problem than that, because it's not just Chachi. Is seemingly the core, the backbone of what has made Unicorns of Love so good has been Hylissang and Chachi in their performances. Yeah. Neither of those players has been playing exceptionally well in today's series. They've been outclassed. It's fair to say Steelback still is performing to what you'd expect, but with the rest of the team underperforming, it's so difficult for them to catch up.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time, a lot of resources were used onto Hylissang, though. It made it very difficult to get away from some of those deaths. But in the first game, I called that maybe it's just a bad game from Chachi. I mean, it happened, right? But 2 games, consistently, early game, gets called out, and starts that ripple effect. Like, there's something wrong.
And of course, this is the only game of the series where Origen will be on the red side. They opted into it as they had side choice on games 1, 3, and 5. Unicorns made one small pivot on their pick ban strategy in the last game. It was allowing the Jhin to go through. This time around, Azir still on the table. So let's take a look. Lulu, Oriana, Azir, all mid lane bans from Unicorns of Love. Rise, Thresh, there's 1 remaining for Origen to remove.
And what this does is put pressure now on Power of Evil. He can't blind pick something like his Ori, something like a Lulu. Does he go for the likes of Alessandra? Does he look for, you know, the Varus that he's played? He feels comfortable enough to blind pick that in the last game, so why wouldn't he feel comfortable to do it in this?
I think it almost forces him to go with an immobile mid laner, though, and then Unicorns of Love can punish that. Alessandra will be the final ban out from Origen. So yeah, I'm actually interested to see where Power of Evil goes from here, but they are on red side, so they do have that final pickup regardless, and they're going to see what Unicorns of Love are going to put forward first.
Now, I wonder, were they maybe thinking, okay, Civ is available, Alistair's available, Nidalee's available, a lot of big tier picks here, but you may have been able to just take the Lissandra here on first rotation. It's not the best of picks, but looking at blind pickable mids, I guess Corki is the other option.
Yeah,
it is
that's a good call.
There is one catch for that. Fox, we know, likes to play those assassins. He has played a lot of LeBlanc, a lot of Zed in the past, so if PoE goes for something like that, there is some options for Fox to work around, but that is something we'll have to see later in the draft. For now, Alistair, Trundle, Poppy, it's all the tanks, all the front lines that are being locked in.
Yeah, Miffy had a really good performance on Trundle as well, and I really like picking Trundle and Poppy in the same rotation, so you can't pick the Trundle into the Poppy, and I think Stars will do fine on the Poppy once again. I think it's just a solid first rotation.
What it does do, however, is obviously lock down your top lane, lock down your support. So now we know it's Power of Evil getting the chance to pick in mid lane, which explains why that they took away some of these blind pickable champions from Fox. Now they actually are relying on Power of Evil's counterpick mid lane, which is something that the Unicorns used to do very often when Power was on their lineup.
Unless Gragas gets taken away right now, Origen could just build the exact same team. Jhin is available, Varus is available, Gragas still currently available, so, you know, don't fix what's not broken. If Origen wants to go that route, but of course, it does depend on what Unicorns of Love decide to prioritize. Them 8 seconds left on their next rotation. And we're seeing similar moves, but
Люциана,
this time instead of a
Алистера,
Lee Sin, it is the Nidelin for the Unicorns of Love.
I like the
на
Lucian though, it
топе,
worked really well
пожалуй,
for
Поппи
Steelback. He had like
можно
10 kills,
назвать.
10, 2 and 4 at the end of that game, and honestly, if the team had maybe had a little bit more for him, he could have pretty much solo carried fights.
Power of Evil показал, что все-таки существует шака еще в этой вселенной.
Sivir was available for a first pick if it was up. It's still
Но
available.
я очень сомневаюсь,
Kind of
что
tells me
они
that it
его
wasn't
возьмут,
really high
потому что
priority
они
for both
хотят
of these teams.
выиграть
Yeah,
без
it has been,
всяких
but what I mean is the priority hasn't
камбэков
really been
для
focused on
Unicorns of Love.
Sivir in this draft so far. The Alistair was the first pick, and then we had 2 full rotations of the Sivir.
Well, let's find out if Origen decides to prioritize it this time around. We already noticed during the course of this series that Maokai's not been as important as yesterday. And of course, the ever question of Azir or Lulu who's more important doesn't matter either, because they've both been bad in all 3 games. Neither team's going to have the option to drop themselves. So Sivir and Lee Sin locked in.
Yeah, I really like the Sivir here into this composition. You have a strong front line, you just get them further into the team. And Unicorns of Love, I mean, did they really want to pick the Sivir with like a Nidelin and building a different type of composition? So they almost kind of gifted it over to Origen, and the rest of the bans went towards the mid lane onto Power of Evil. So they really need to exploit Power of Evil to make their ban phase work.
This is the first game we're seeing of Sven on Sivir. Steelback had played 3 coming into this series, so now what's the adjustment that's been made? It's a style that Origen haven't really played too much. Sven, if he doesn't get super far ahead, can't really deal with too much of tank pressure without it getting
Хотя,
super
если
late
это
game.
домашняя
So I
заготовка,
do wonder now, how is this going to change what
Ганпланк
Origen
с высокой
wants to
долей
do?
вероятности все-таки залочит, ну и корки для Фокса.
For contrast, Steelback has played 5 different champions, so a significant difference.
Все довольно
Corki locked in for
предсказуемо.
Fox in the mid lane. Chachi's going to get his hands on that gangplank again, but there's tools to run down this back line, tools to run past the barrels.
Вообще доработали, получается, Иола свой предыдущий пик, то есть теперь у них еще есть типов, то есть их безнаказанно не смогут бить. С другой стороны, у Origen появилась Сивир, которая благодаря своей ульте может доставить команду очень быстро прямо в центр вражеской команды и начать там разносить все. О, неужели Power of Evil дадут Лебланку? Но это было бы, в принципе, неплохо. Потому что 4 сквиша у Йолов, а Лебланк это прям такой любитель сквишей. Фокс сначала сможет все-таки ее харасить. Потому что у Корки очень большой урон. И все-таки он АДК и автоатакер, поэтому Лебланка влететь-то, конечно, сможет, но потом она будет просто уходить пешком и получать по лицу, если она не ваншотнет. Ну, собственно, на этот случай есть экзост.
It's going to become very, very difficult to overcome. For what could be the last time here in Europe today, the coaches shake hands and will be exiting the stage. 80% of you guys at home were in favor of Origen picking up this series earlier today when we asked you. Jump on Twitter and see if you continue to feel that way. This is the first time that we'll see Origen on the red side, and of course, #UOL win. I mean, they can turn it around. Now that they're on blue sides.
Yeah, maybe it's the blue side that is getting them the wins, but if that's the case, then the next game is going to be 3-1. So, yeah. But yeah, different pick and ban phase from a Unicorns, and I kind of like trying to exploit Power of Evil.
I want to see if they can. I want to see if Power of Evil's going to be in trouble this game. He's got a bit more of a carry pants on with LeBlanc pick, but also more importantly, there is that picture of Origen from semi-final, from Madrid rather, where they were on the final stage.
Судя по всему, если сейчас победят, то мы не увидим экспеки в сегодняшних матчах. Кстати, в интервью, которое он давал перед этой игрой, он сказал, что все-таки они смогли войти в топ-6 команд и попасть в плей-оффы.
Power Evil's face over Peke.
Это значит, что они все-таки улучшили свою игру, пусть и поздно, так как закончили в этой шестерке внизу.
Well, crowds turned themselves around.
О, начинает кричать Origen.
The Unicorn fans earlier have been trumped.
Turncoats.
Or that is another possibility.
Does that mean they built a wall?
Кстати, небольшой хинт относительно того, что
Everybody's very fair and
скины не влияют на показатели и вообще на всю игру.
This is the first time that Origen have not got themselves
Вообще влияет
aggressive or cheeky early
чисто
game.
с психологической точки зрения, потому что на синий цвет, допустим, глаз влияет, ну, реагирует чуть большей задержкой, чем на яркие цвета.
Yeah, he's gonna try and push them away here. Actually, gets the reset
И
on
Мифи
the level. Generally don't see it go that well for the squad.
в очередной раз помешался.
Behind by good 7-8 seconds.
I want to see what the ripple effect here though
Затянул
of
время
Sven not
зачистки
being on the
лагерей,
top side.
и
We know
Лисин,
Sivin pushes
смотрите,
very
вполне себе
effectively into the
опережает.
tower, but
То
Lucian was
есть он
pushing
чуть
bottom
раньше
side
на
first.
ганг
This
может
time
выйти.
Steelback has that initial sort of momentum into the tower. Now for Origen, do they push this into tower quite as
Ну,
fast?
сейчас на топе будут сносить вышку, а медали чуть попозже. О, очень хорошо сейчас, кстати, выдал комбо Power of Evil. Не получил даже практически ничего в ответ.
Yeah, we've started seeing a little bit more grass with the Undying around the place, seeing it
Поэтому
on
вот,
supports every now and
допустим,
again.
скин на ганпланка очень даже хорош, потому что время на реакцию чуть-чуть увеличивается. Ну, этого на профессиональной арене может быть достаточно. Точно так же попробуйте поиграть против снежного Зикса. У него бомбы вообще неразличимы практически. И на них не реагируешь. То есть, которые на минном поле.
Important to note that that's the only exhaust. You've got an ignite on Hilisan, so as a amazing go off, that could be problematic. But taking a look at the towers, Chachi again just a few seconds behind. Nothing really major just yet because it looks like the recall's already come in for the duo.
Yeah, and that's the advantage of the Civic being able to push top. We were questioning, was it fast enough? Yes, it was. And also to touch on that teleport mid lane point, so Fox will have package available. LeBlanc roams fairly effectively on her own anyway, so
давно этого
does
ждал,
mean that you
потому
won't
что
see those, instant
неправильно
reactions
это.
Not again. Not again, Chachi.
Ну нет, в этот раз Вискади выживет, потому что Чивир решила просто фармить пачку. Вискади в этот раз все-таки выживет, не будет третий раз повторения того, что он до этого делал. Корки у нас уже закупился, в отличие от Лебланки. У него сейчас небольшое преимущество, но Лебланка сейчас как раз запушивает и пойдет. Ловит все-таки на Тарашот.
Pressure being exerted in the middle lane. Bottom tower is now also being pushed up, and of course Chachi's going to go into the top side as well. And we're just going to see another tower trade. So in the mid lane, we saw Power of Evil pushing up a lot against Fox. It looked like he was having the pressure advantage, but that hasn't culminated actually into a CS advantage at all. And I think now that his results have Fox is actually going to be ahead.
And I also think Pulse, this lane swap is already a clear improvement for Unicorns.
Довольно длительного времени
that is like a silly thing to say, I guess.
Команды оффлайнов делают и сносят внешние вышки.
most likely going to be late to the party, but the tower will fall and then the Herald after.
Origen are ahead of the curve. Look at this. Because of the way Unicorns split focus on the Rift Herald early, it means that Unicorns are late for the push, but will get the buff for themselves.
Oh no.
It depends on how they utilize that.
Steal back. If he cancels this teleport or recall, could be in trouble. The barrel comes down from Chachi. Mithy's going to sidestep.
И очень хорошо сейчас идет Звен, но нет.
The javelin toss, as well as the Rift Herald,
Все-таки отдыхали.
Get the tower,
Видите,
get the Herald,
в этот раз.
Yeah, they were a little greedy. Ooh, steal back. No, it's not going to be enough to kill him at this point. But we're a little bit greedy on that play to try and take both at the same time. Normally you'll see the turret go down, then the Rift Herald attempt. It buys you that little bit of extra time. And Origen had pushed out the bottom lane faster. Fox and Power of Evil, though, trading.
Промазал Power of Evil, и теперь у него совсем немного маны.
So that is a gigantic swing in the matchup. And Amazing may want to affect this even more.
Почему-то мне... Ох
ты. This time it connected.
The ward jump, Power of Evil this time connects the chains, but that's going to be the fast
exhaust to Amazing. Есть шансы умереть, но нет.
And Fox doesn't quite pick up the kill. Maybe gets a 25
Power of Evil очень грамотно, смотрите, поставил своего клона. И классно отфлешился. Power of Evil, то есть он предполагал, что сейчас Корки уйдет на флеше. И следом отпушился за ним, чтобы не разорвать цепь. Но немного не хватило. Был бы шестой Амейзинга, было бы намного лучше, конечно. Там был бы ФБ 100%.
And just looking at summoner spells, it's only the mid lane that's really negatively affected. So lane should start to normalize now. You can see Poppy finding Gangplank, and at some point Sven will come to this middle lane to just play wave play duty, as all Civers always do.
Power of Evil right now has picked up some extra mana regen here. It doesn't quite fit into his initial item. Ooh, Fox should be okay here. He does.
Hit flash, and that's just a perfect setup. First blood comes in. Ignite doesn't even have to be used. So well played by Amazing.
I was going to say, I thought Fox was okay, but just the way the kick flash came out, Amazing patiently played it. That's the key thing. Even though Amazing didn't went in aggressive under the tower early, didn't have to use his flash, still had it available and punishes Fox for not having his.
Yeah, the push is now coming in from Origen. They're not going to pick up the tower. They're just going to be pushed away by Lulux and Hillsang. I just really want to praise the mind games and the thought process from Amazing, because he mind gamed the hell out of Fox. Like, he walked towards him because he threatened the Q, and if he walks in a straight line, he gets Q'd. If he jukes backwards, which Fox was expecting, then Amazing just walks up and kick flashes. So, just really nice setup from Amazing. Something that I didn't think was going to happen. Coming in from the front door, steal back. Are you Sven? Maybe. He jumps over the wall into 3 people, and the package is being delivered.
And Fox has arrived. Turns his attention over to Sven. Follows up with a second Valkyrie and Sven. Rattles across the boomerang blade. Defensive flash from Mithy. Sidesteps the javelin toss, and the chase isn't over yet. The pillar of ice might just hit him. Lightslinger for the kill. Steal backs on the board.
Mid lane.
И умрет.
He's good. He's good. There's no get-fire grabs this time on the Blanc, so he's good to go.
Видимо, уже догорал. В этот раз Чачи везет вообще безумно.
It meant that mid lane also was viable and good time.
So Steelback saw Sven and was like, anything you can do last game, I can do better. At this point, there was not a lot of crowd control here. Fox, the package just nudges Mithy out of the way, and that was kind of enough to push Mithy up and out through the top side. So Unicorns were getting just a long extended trade here. A lot was used for it, but ultimately they would end up taking the advantage from this. So many flashes, so many ultimates we used.
And very good play from Steelback, knowing the limits of his damage, knowing the range, connecting with everything he needed to, and manages to at least pick up a kill. So Unicorns marginally ahead as far as gold is concerned. And if Unicorns can rally behind Steelback in a similar sort of performance, that's how they can turn their fortunes around. Especially when there's a free mid tower.
Во-вторых, резать, естественно, отхил.
The numbers are coming. Look on the minimap. 4 members of Origen are looking to close in, and Fox is a target.
Well, they're going to try and punish the chains. Don't quite lock down Fox on this one, and Steelback will put a little bit of damage onto Soaz. Ultimately, the tower survives, but it's very low to death.
The thing is, this composition wants to be the aggressive comp out from Origen. They want to be the ones that start to fight with this LeBlanc, with this Poppy. The only real wave player they have that is safe is on Sven. So for them to be in a situation where they're defending against a full-person power push, they can only go aggressive to try
and забирает, застилил.
Well, his wave clear is being easier.
I see you, Sven.
When he has blue buff. Alright, challenge down bottom. 2v1. Chachi standing on a barrel. Uses it onto Amazing.
Умрет, наверное,
This should be a
все-таки
fairly
в
easy
Исказе,
kill.
так никого
It
и не
is.
убив.
So always picks it up.
Yeah, by the book. I mean, there's not much to say about that apart from Chachi being caught out.
Kicks him into the wall,
Yeah,
pushes him into the wall. Yeah.
Just trying to say bopped him
Ну,
on the head.
давно не умирал Дичачи.
Can you bop someone with your
Два
club?
раза.
No, I think that's a little
Или
violent. It's like
три он
roundhouse
уже
kick, bop.
выживал
Like, I don't think that works.
Still
на
counts.
соплях.
Power of Evil's going to do a little bit
ходили.
of poke
Take your word
onto
for it.
Fox. And remember, Sven was able to steal that blue buff away, so Fox's wave clear has been negatively impacted, especially because he has no mana. That's pretty useful on a
That's fair.
Corki.
Hand confirmed.
I mean, the reason, so this is very kind of like nitpicky, but he hasn't got anything towards the mana crystal item, so he's kind of gone down in his ability to wave clear over a long period.
Oh, well, Power of Evil jumping back onto the
Whoa,
distortion
whoa.
pad. He's going to kill over to Chachi. Yeah, sure, I'll take that from bot lane. I mean, I'm just farming away. I guess I'll take a kill in mid lane. That was weird.
Oops, I think is what
Мини-килл
sums that one up.
ганпланку довольно
Pair of Evil with a little bit of a
неожиданный,
misplay.
и я думаю, что очень
Quite
приятный,
respectable against LeBlanc this game, as we've seen in the past. Certainly hasn't had the best
потому
of
что
starts.
теперь ему уже
Yeah,
можно
and I
закончить
said he had a bad game.
стринки.
He had a really good game. I mean, he got 8 kills, not 8 deaths. And yeah, he did really well in that one. Less good in this
Классно
game.
вообще Михи ставит глыбы, конечно, сколько раз он уже
He's had
сбивал.
2 bad performances.
Не дали прыжки.
Spreadsheets can be hard.
Yes.
Yes,
And
it's when
Thank you for the correction. Fair play to you.
it's when you get the losses and kills column. Like, man, they've lost 15 games on this. Oh dear.
There hasn't even been 15 games.
Посмотрите
But
количество вардов
Chachi
вообще
may
у
be in some
команды.
trouble. Amazing is going forward. Kick flashes. There's not a lot of support yet. Trying to buy time. Look at
Так,
the mini map. Here comes Fox.
Лебланка
Amazing.
слишком далеко.
Lots of some more time. Power of Evil wasn't able to get there in, quickly enough, and that means flash.
Yeah.
Потратил
That was a weird
Зихин флэш
Chris
и
is like, Power, why didn't you flash, bro, to
Есть.
get him in range? But even then, he wouldn't be in range. I think there's just a
свободное
miscall.
время.
He saw him in the bottom lane. Was like, I just
Теперь
assumed
небольшое
LeBlanc would
окно
catch up
для
with double
Янико.
distortion, but wasn't quite there.
с тем, что
Hillsang's going to zone away Amazing despite the resonating strike connecting. Amazing level 8. Down 1 to Lulex's Nidalee. But Lulex has only got a small farm advantage this time around. In the first game of the day, he was running the Nidalee and did significantly better. But Origen are starting to defend the tower. A little bit more threat here for Hillsang. Ethereal Change will connect and root Hillsang in place. Boomerang Blade finds a target as well. And slightly awkward exchange of spells over the last few minutes. A lot blown for nothing gained.
Steelback constantly going aggressive though, time and time again, looking for those plays with the culling, darting forward as well. Hillsang could have been caught out there, but you could see as soon as Power was about to take a spear, had to pull back, jump back to the distortion, and that meant that Origen's kill pressure was actually gone.
Well, if Steelback keeps playing aggressive, Origen could find a way to punish it. Lulex, he's the one going aggressive. He's pounced on Miffy.
Yeah, he's
Как он
backing away. That was a good pillar.
довольно
Lulex
дерзко
decided to go in, he
поймал
wasn't getting out again.
Мифи.
So, yeah, nice placement by Miffy.
Good damage though, overall, onto the support. Now top lane, there's a trade.
Alright, Soaz is gonna...
И Соаз в очередной раз вообще просто демонстрирует прекрасную игру, и есть все шансы умереть в Визисказе,
Soaz is gonna charge forward, Minion's gonna be helping out.
что, собственно, и происходит.
Soaz wins the 1v1.
Однако на миду берут голую вышку, и это более полезно для команды, потому что голда идет всем, чем один килл.
Jumps out, getting the hype, and then it slightly fizzles.
Yeah, you have a lot of champions in this game which can instantly just pop a fight, like the package comes in, or Power of Evil jumps in with double distortion. So, fights can break out very easily. Lulex is now jumping onto his dragon, and I don't think anyone's going to stop him.
Что-то как-то даже никто не пытается контактить дракон. Ну, вообще это, конечно, первый дракон, особо ничего страшного нету. Но все-таки лучше иметь драконов.
Down to the bottom lane, Fox
Потому что наращивать в следующий раз драконов уже будет проще.
Some trouble. Amazing. No flash available. Basically just eats a power kick.
Не в этот раз.
And after that first kill, Amazing, he's trying to make picks happen, but he's not finding success just yet, Pulse.
I think you have to in a game like this. When you're running LeBlanc mid and they were kind of forced to with the bans that came out.
Да, все-таки скибет.
Скибетом пустоты
Левланка заканчивала первым итемом, потому что у Корки очень много магического урона, несмотря на то, что он АДК.
Then Origen will fall behind because Unicorns of Love can kind of make those reactive plays, which I feel may be a little bit better.
Yeah, and of course Unicorns of Love showed that once they were in standard lanes, they actually performed better than in the lane swap. In terms of the sample size, went even this time around, but still bit off a little more than they could chew in that top lane. Close, a lot of damage on Sven. Origen found a way to pick up kills in mid, found a way to almost punish top lane, so it just feels like Origen are playing the lane swap basics and decisions around it better.
But how the game has gone from that feels very similar to how last game went. You know, Unicorns, they have this lead for the early game and they're slowly extending it. But Origen, if they can get, you know, that good fight that they got in the last game, maybe pick up Hillisang. We've seen a couple of times where Hilly has been slightly out of
в отличие от предыдущей игры, сейчас комментаторы обсуждают положение дел по сравнению с прошлой игрой, то есть точно так же его лидируют, и за несколько тимфайтов буквально проиграли все свое преимущество Origen.
Because right now it just seems like farming is the name of the game. See if Origen make a play and then we can react to it and then generally just farm up. Like calls are being picked up by both AD carries and it seems like you don't want a lot of interaction until you hit like late in the game.
Yeah, well I mean they're looking for the Triforce and second
все-таки есть разница, потому что у Origen есть Севир, недооценивать утилити не стоит. Сейчас это не так, конечно.
Right now, Chachi's accepting away from the top lane. Wave's been pushed out in the bottom side, and that is being picked up by Fox as well. So there's no real reason to fight the middle part of the map.
В прошлом сезоне, например, там утилити вообще очень много чего значило, и прям старались брать как можно больше. И Севир вообще был must-have.
Is he thinking about this? Flash, pulverize, he's caught PoE, and the jump
чуть-чуть не хватило. Улицу для того, чтобы убить Пауэрафилова. И сейчас будет карать. И все-таки умрет. Улиц и смотрим, что смогут выжить.
Chachi turns it around, he's gonna hit this barrel and try and get the speed up, but a nice pillow will keep him in place. Power of Evil, meanwhile, is a little bit stranded. Hillisang this time doesn't have the flash, so he can't get in range. That was ultimately a 1-for-1 for both teams.
And it was a two-pronged fight, though it was split, because Amazing and Soaz were going aggressive.
Now it's a three-pronged fight. Hillisang has found Soaz and Amazing. Chachi wants to run
Я не понимаю, что делают Origin. Вместо того, чтобы спокойненько отойти, они получают кучу урона. То есть они подошли вдвоем на всю команду соперников. И что?
And they will be back in R. But Smithy may be caught out. Fox goes forward, but Rockets don't have CC, so he's not going to go down.
I'm pretty sure that's called a social experiment these days, Pulse. And you know, there was a bit of an experiment from Amazing and Soaz trying to go aggressive onto Steelback. We didn't see it on the main screen because it was happening during the fight at the blue buff. Watch on the minimap for the second part of this fight because this was the initial part. Power of Evil and Mithy fighting with Bluebags and Hillisang in the jungle. Watch mid lane while you're watching this fight as well. Hope you got split vision if you can. Or observers can zoom out. So look, they were focusing down on Steelback and this is why Unicorns had so much freedom to take out the set. Because, yeah, how far can we zoom? Science has gone too far.
Ну да, они выключили, конечно, хорошо лицами из этого тимфайта. Ну как бы и все, то есть они вдвоем выключили одного, в итоге их керри спокойненько разобрали. Немного неравноценный размен, на мой взгляд. Тем более по тому счету, который в итоге получил. Мне кажется, команды довольно пассивно играют. В первой игре понятно было, то есть Origen ждали когда они соберут спокойненько 5 драконов, там все понятно. Но вот в этой игре непонятно, что происходит и чего хотят. То есть обе команды как-то так. Всякое движение остановили, не так много каких-то ситуаций организуют. Ну, первого дракона, конечно, дадут Origen. Рисковать нет смысла, и тут Поппи в очередной раз карает ганпланка, но чувствует Соас, что необходимо отойти. И Свен должен умирать. Вот, собственно, и происходит. Сейчас умрет и Мифи, и 2 килла для Иволов. Что-то они все-таки решили показать, и если так и будет продолжаться, то будет еще одна игра, и я думаю, что все-таки экспекер мы увидим, все-таки будет 4-я игра. Мне кажется, что экспекер должен выйти, потому что пол героев у Power of Evil, я бы сказал, что исчерпан. Конечно, он может сыграть и на Кассиопее. Но вот здесь вот очень классно вообще зазонили Сивир и...
kind of falls on this. You know what? Origen again without the front line. Origen again, you know, Soas is playing the split push game. He's not with the team, and it's just so easy for Power People and Spin to get run over.
Yeah, it truly is. And right now, there's a fight around red buff. I don't really think Origen should commit to this straight away. I mean, they can take away the red buff if they want, but don't really choose to fight. They got Lulex.
They're pretty good in jungle fights, though. There's a lot of walls to slam them into, and Hillisang will get a good knock.
Просто в очередной раз достается Сивир.
Now Soaz will be backing away, and the chase continues. Chachi will land the power onto Soaz. He should be going down here. Power Beevil.
Нет, все-таки выживает Соаз на каких-то единицах здоровья.
But there is a ward there, so they know where he is. Meanwhile, Lulex has been called out, but he still has Zhonya's.
И Amazing, я не понимаю, что делает Amazing вообще. У него есть все шансы подставить команду соперника. Точнее, свою команду. Потому что там Соус пытается уходить, и он что-то там пытается организовать. И вот. Наконец-то что-то Power of Evil показал.
A huge deletion.
Yeah, there we go. For Sean's, that one's for you. But it's like, oh look, it's not done yet. Power of Evil decides to jump forward. No, that's the clone. That was just a clone. But Soaz comes in with the buckler. He's going to prevent any escape for a moment or two.
Перчатка у Соуза, и он спокойненько, не боясь, и забирает Лебланку. Уйдет. И какой-то просто безумный скирмиш, я не знаю. Ну, просто, я не знаю, Соус, он просто MVP.
This is just crazy amounts of fighting between Unicorns of Unicorns of Love and Origen.
В комментаторах просто все слова потеряли сразу же. Да, все-таки успеют взять. Просто будут игнорировать, конечно же, Hillisang. Он будет пытаться по максимуму их задержать, но не смогут они ничего сделать с этим. Так.
Will be secured here by Origen safely, and they'll get themselves some steak for dinner.
Here comes Fox.
Okay, are you think he's gonna go in? Why not? Belt forward. Drop the package. That's pretty much what's happening.
Does he have it?
No, I don't know. I'm just being hopeful.
I'm assuming he doesn't right now.
Yeah, he was in range if he had it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume no.
Так,
Let's
вернем
come
настройки, а то что-то
down and see it all again. So this actually wasn't. Sven had time to go and try and collect some farm and then come down.
Ну и
Is he
вот здесь
actually
вот
farmed that way down?
вообще,
Yes,
конечно,
he
классно.
does. So he'll kill it very quickly. Yeah, he does,
Замедление
but
по
that's how long this
площади,
fight goes on for.
от
So as it
скорки.
goes aggressive, he's still top lane. Look, Sven ultimately gets a double kill from this fight and he's still top. So Parameval goes in and trades the 1-for-1. I didn't realize this fight went on for that long. Oh, it really, really did. Yeah, I'm glad we got two of you here.
И тут приходит Сивир, ускорит всех и Крик.
It just feels so scrappy and messy and reactionary. And because Unicorn's overcommitted, it means they've lost Baron. So as is now caught.
Так, Соза пришли аж убивать аж втроем. Смотрим, сможет, нет, он, но нет, не выживает.
Now Lucas is over the wall. This is going to be the chase in by Origen though. They lost Soas, but they have the positioning to maybe pick up the kill and return. Fox is locked in there with 3 members from Origen. Sven almost goes down, but he'll be living to fight another day. That was a 1-for-1
Mithy with another great trundle pillar here, and honestly,
небольшие
we talked about
изменения,
this Alistair
конечно, в
coming
билде у
into game 1 of
Ганпланка.
this series
Он
and his
взял
trundle in game 2. Mithy has been back on point. I think you look at some of Mithy's performances over the last couple of weeks, you could say that he was just not quite the same that you'd expected from him, but Origen have gone from strength to strength, and Mithy is back with a vengeance in this series.
Yeah, and it's very, very important for Origen because all of the questions on how would they perform, what was their strategy, even though this is messy, it is still working out in Origen's favor. Regardless of who closes the series out, they will be playing against H2K next weekend. And you know for a fact that H2K are watching this.
А по голде, кстати, чуть-чуть вперед вышли Origen.
On Twitter,
наконец-то.
we'll be looking forward to that matchup.
That's normally the death knell, though. I saw Yankos speak. Well, looks like we're facing Origen. Don't see what Unicorns can do to come back in this series. I'm like, that's optimistic. Yeah, Yankos, I've seen that.
Точнее смогут, но не успеют.
I think this game could definitely go either way, but it's Unicorns that love having to win 3 games in a row. Origen for sure have looked better in this series. I agree it's been messy. There has been relative control, but you go up against a team like H2K, I still feel like Origen or definitely Unicorns of Love will get dismantled.
This is very similar though to game 2, how again it all comes from a fight that Unicorns just don't really take
in
the smartest way, and it turns into a Baron. Baron turns into and now a small lead for Origen, or now they're slightly behind because of the farm that was picked up in the last few minutes from, or the last couple of seconds from the Unicorns. But still, it's back to an even game right now, where Unicorns did have themselves a lead.
Приближается к тому, чтобы закончить третий кор.
At its peak. And Origen with Baron, and that Baron power play that was nearly 3,000 gold. I'm rounding up, Pulse.
И опять Волы опять вышли вперед по голде.
They've got themselves inner turrets to take down in all 3 lanes, so Origen are starting to look at and starting to set up. But they've been quite committed. It's kind of like they want Soas to play that side lane and just TP and win Unicorns.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that Origen will look to make a play here. Paravi was trying to do it onto
Хорошо так пожал, конечно,
because the pack has just gone off Fox.
И далее тут достается.
Let's play defensive or just get barreled. Paravi
Классно задоджил.
kind of back away. Culling comes across as well. It's a bit of damage onto Mithy and Amazing as they back away.
Amazing пока дешевый персонаж, поэтому ульта Лисана довольно много урона ему наносит. Соус сплит пушит в это время.
It allowed Soas to shove all the way to the inner turret, but he only gets a little bit of damage down before he backs away. Well,
удобно, кстати, быть Поппи против Бычка и Недали, потому что если в тебя будут прыгать, ты можешь вполне включить щит, и они где-то на нижних границах и подступах останутся.
Regardless of that fact, Stress, you were talking about Soas pushing in the top lane, and the fact Unicorns are being pulled in multiple directions.
But the thing is, Power came down into the bottom lane, and without teleport him, you had 2 choices. Either Unicorns could look to fight elsewhere on the map and look to try and take the numbers advantage, or they send Fox down to the bottom lane and clear it out, which is what they actually did. Unicorns had the chance maybe to go aggressive, but trying that at this point is potentially losing the series. Unicorns are one big mistake away from losing this game and losing this series and being out of the playoffs.
Alternatively, they're one big play away for keeping their super pokes alive. Because if they just let themselves get pushed in over and over, we've actually heard multiple times throughout the split that teams feel if you're not playing aggressively, playing on the front foot, you are in fact losing the game. Wave clear is relatively good here with, actually I think it's pretty good with Gangplank, Corki, but another Baron, and that makes the cannon barrage, that makes the barrels significantly less effective.
Минуту будет мажор, и я надеюсь, что они все-таки начнут шевелиться. Потому что нет какого-то такого постоянного давления, все стоят, фармят в свое удовольствие, и если команда соперника совершает какую-то ошибку, то что-то делают. Постоянно у нас противостояние Лебланка Корки на всех лайнах. Ходят они с лайна на лайн, пытаясь спокойно пофармить, точнее, Корки пытаются спокойно пофармить, а Лебланка не дает ему возможности спокойно фармить, постоянно прессингует, угрожает. Лихин у нас довольно агрессивный АДшник получается.
Down on the bottom side of the map, you can see Soaz and Chachi going head to head. Now Soaz can never really push Chachi all the way in because of the barrels, but he's just keeping him pinned down there for a little while longer.
But advantage will be to Origen, because if they both want the TP, then Chachi will get interrupted by Soaz, whereas Chachi doesn't have a way to interrupt Soaz. So as long as Soaz stays in range of Chachi, they will have the TP advantage, theoretically. And Origen is pressuring all the lanes as well. Miffy, if he gets caught, that wouldn't be good.
Miffy довольно опасно сейчас сыграл. Мог и не уйти.
If it means the play will work out. Case in point, Sven's Lucian with the Kindred Lamb's Respite as backup. Regardless, Origen are heavily committed to this 1-3-1.
Постоянный сплит-пуш Лебланка на топе. И Соас на боте. Причем он не боится. Ганпланка. Особо много он ему сделать Поппи ничего не может. Потому что Поппи у нас затанкованная. И ждет на хоумгвардах. Сейчас пойдет Соас, и ну как-то он далековато. И нехорошо вообще получилось для Оригена этот тимфайт, потому что с фулл хп фактически улы остаются, а Оригены побитые там наполовину практически все. Поэтому они решают все-таки рашить, провоцировать. Посмотрим, смогут, нет. И Поппи карает. Успевает прервать, однако толку от этого немного. И Видискази умрет. Однако на Шором остаются двое. И это все-таки победа для Виолов, потому что теперь они могут пушить. Power of Evil выдал все, что мог, и разобрали его, потому что он очень много.
So just clears that out from here. Miffy didn't get the interrupt on the pillar, but it was enough from the damage. And Sven trying to keep himself healthy, get that life steal up the wall.
Третий дракон для Ориджина. И это все-таки успел. Успел засмайтить. Не такой уж, видимо, и слепой этот монарх.
Power of Evil got the damage down before he was focused, but I think also so crucial.
Тут я не знаю, на грани с удачей
He was in the middle of 4 members of Unicorns and just saying, come at me, bro.
Однако чувствуется недостаток все-таки Жони для Лебланки. То есть как только ее прямо ждут, когда она влетит, и сразу же и начинает бить по лицу.
It's weird because they kind of have an advantage here because they still have Baron on 2 people, so they will be pushing in, and you can see the degradation of gold.
И вообще какой урон наносит Лебланка. И будет не умирать, не влетает Лисин, чтобы не тратить. А вот теперь вылетает пушка и попал наконец. Бежит Сос, но нет. Довольно много урона получает он, так и не добежав. Фактически только один танк в команде Уолов, поэтому 4 керри очень и очень хорошо дамажат все-таки. Ну, еще одного персонажа. Классно. Кто сдоджил, конечно. И непонятный какой-то размен, скорее всего, за счет Игнайта убила Лебланка. Но это хорошо, потому что страшный, очень страшный. Ну как-то не дали совсем себя переоценила, и крит. И это все. Ну, вообще, скоро ульта будет у Визискади, то есть он есть все шансы. Ну, критует, как все-таки критует Севир. Сносит. И все, умрет сейчас Визискади. И это второй полуфиналист. И нет. Не дали убить Стилбека. Раньше закончили. Уверенные в своей победе. Как-то не видно какой-то дикой радости на лицах у Оригина. Ну, хорошо, в принципе, Power of Evil не показал какой-то дикой и великолепной механики на Лебланке, но показал, что при необходимости он может сыграть и на ней, и наносить хорошо урона. Будет любопытно, конечно, посмотреть потом статистику по урону, кто сколько нанес, насколько был полезен. Хотя полезность игрока не оценивается только в уроне, который он наносит. Взять тоже Киндра с 4%. Урона за игру, которая была очень полезна в опеке, то есть и на ганках она была, и замедление, и ульта. Одним уроном полезность не ограничивается. Тот же Vision, та же защита своего АДК и не только. Сколько раз Сос спасал своих тиммейтов, влетая просто один, двоих, троих. Поэтому урон не все. Хотя, если брать керри, то здесь, пожалуй, урон все-таки основополагающая вещь. Потому что на то ты и керришь, что ты должен наносить очень и очень много урона. То есть на тебя вся ставка. Я не беру Солоку, в учет, потому что там дичайший трэш творится, практически на любом уровне. Никто не старается отдать фарм своим керри. Поэтому там другие показатели учитываются. Ну а здесь для керри, конечно же, урон. Ну, довольно обидно, конечно, немного для его проигрывать.
Excellent pronunciation, and thank you very much, Trevor. I am, of course, joined by the mid laner and the jungler, of course, Power of Evil, and amazing, fantastic series, guys. 3-0, way to close it out. Power, you had a particularly dominant performance, but this team altogether did excellent, amazingly, and, sorry, the pun. I want to know, did you guys really expect it to be that quick and that clean?
Well, so from our scrims performance, I think in the last 1-2 weeks, we performed way better, and I think we just, I just felt we had better synergy, better calling. Like I knew what I need to do more than the weeks before, so for me it pretty much clicked way better.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, that has been something that we've been expecting to
они,
see from you
конечно,
guys.
улучшились, он начал больше понимать, что происходит и что шортколить.
This team, you guys seem to have clicked together even better in playoffs. Is that something that is just a playoff thing, or now you guys have it all in your head?
I think we're better now than we were during the regular season because it actually matters now. So there's like this intensity factor that's coming in, especially from a team that has been towards the semifinals and everything like that. I think expecting them to perform to the other best during the regular season is kind of weird because it's not the same kind of intensity that you can bring during every regular season game they can bring towards Worlds. So I think now that it actually matters, we care more and we're actually happy playing. So I suppose that's coming in. But this series in particular, I think that Unicorns were just outmatched to a certain extent, and I think they were the weakest team of the six teams that were actually qualified for playoffs. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on this particular series.
All right, well, still fair enough, and you guys did play it out very cleanly. Power for you in particular, you got to play some signature champions. Your Oriana coming back, it always seems to work its way back in. Tell me a little bit about the choices that you guys have picked up those champions in the team and how you really
на его взгляд, Иол это самая слабая команда из шестерки, поэтому особо каких-то дикой радости он не испытывает от того, что они победили. Хотя, конечно же, тоже отмечает, что взаимопонимание и уверенность в себе у них возросла.
Control mages on me, and I can play a few assassins if needed. As example today, I think Ori, Azir and Lulu was banned or something. So we thought about just taking the LeBlanc for sideline pressure, and it worked out as well.
I'm glad it worked out for you guys in total. So now you're going to be going on to Rotterdam. Before that, of course, semifinals coming up. H2K, amazing. Do you have, I don't want to say a prediction, but do you have any idea how you think that one will shake out?
It's quite hard to say. I think H2K is really strong, and we scrimmed against them, we saw how strong they were, so we have kind of an estimate about what we got up against, but I don't want to name myself anywhere and just say we're going to 3-1 them, 3-0 them or something like that. I think it's going to be a good series, and that's all I can say.
Fair enough. So I'll direct the last one then to you, of course, Power. So basically same thing. Do you think that this magic that you guys have finally found to click together will be enough to put you over H2K?
I think we will see, but I think we can make it, yeah.
Alright, well, expecting great things from you, and once again, GG, gentlemen, thanks for joining me here. You can go back and join your team. For now, though, we're going to send it back to the analyst desk to break that down and wrap up the day.
Как бы сможете нет их победить, но и
Mithy here with us as well. First off, congratulations is in order.
Вполне.
Thank you. I'm sorry for my hair. I came to play today, not to the analyst desk, so kind of didn't really.
I think it looks fine.
Being honest, being honest.
Thank you.
Well, you did come to play. I want to jump on something that Amazing said in the interview. He says not to emphasize this series too much because the UOL looked out of sorts, because we had the impression that you guys also at times were struggling still a bit. So I'd love to get your view on it.
Yeah, we just played really bad. So hopefully we look at these games as warm-up, fix our mistakes, and maybe put off a good game against H2K. I think H2K played way more clean, and it will also make us play clean. I think it goes both ways.
Yeah. No, I really think like Unicorn, they had the lead in 2 games, right?
Отмечают, что если им придется столкнуться с H2K, играют более
чисто,
совершают меньше ошибок. Соответственно, это отразится и на игре Origen, что они тоже начнут играть чуть более чисто.
Because you wanna trade blow for blow, so you kind of like not let them get a lead, but instead like keep the lead equal, and eventually at some point maybe one of those blows comes harder on your side, and you kind of stabilize. So whenever you're falling behind, you want these kind of games.
Yeah, I agree. Like this is something that comes like if you have 2k gold disadvantage at 15 minutes and 2k gold at 35 minutes. And the 2k at 35 minutes is irrelevant, so I like this mindset.
I feel like though this is something we have heard before when teams play against unicorns of love. Where often the games end up being unicorns constantly looking for like TP fights instead of actually playing side lanes. They always want to TP into mid, fight you guys over and over. How difficult is it, I guess, in a sense, to adjust to it if you normally just want to play a more clean game and then suddenly you have to like constantly fight over and over, or was it easy enough?
You just have to use your brain, honestly. Like, you know they're gonna do it. It's what their comp revolves around. I think with GP it was a bit different because we didn't really get so much scrim practice against GP, so it was kind of like everything was a bit messy. But usually when they have double TP, like the first game, what you wanna do is just know that they can TP, talk for wards. You know, everyone has to communicate about where the wards are and so on, and just play maybe with 3 scans and just really like. Be aware that they can double TP, know how long you can push and know what they can do before you do something yourself.
Sorry, I wanted to jump on this because I think the Unicorn
как играть против двух телепортов в команде соперников, потому что используют очень неплохо. Двойной телепорт, считайте, если идти на ботлейн, то это сразу 4 человека в одном месте и, соответственно, 2 килла и вышки там 1-2.
And in the second game, when like Soaz gets Poppy and you face GP, even if like GP is ahead, he will obviously punish Poppy, but this is not how the game is meant to work at 20 or 25 minutes.
Что надо очень хорошо ставить варды и контролировать постоянно время, которое ты пушишь. То есть надо успевать отходить раньше, чем команда соперников воспользуется твоим положением, где ты находишься, и воспользуется этим.
The main thing with GP is the fact that you can use your tanky top laner to like basically run away from him. Don't let him farm so much, maybe lane swap into him. So both top laners are kind of starved and
как-то он, по-моему, слишком много рассказывает.
Whole tanky situation before he scales, but we kind of failed to get an advantage early game with that, so it became really hard, right? But if you have an advantage early game and they're playing GP at top, and there's a lane swap, for example, and both top laners are kind of starved, GP is pretty useless.
Obviously, you still have to play the semifinals, so I don't want to make you kind of talk too much about possible strategies, but why in this series specifically did you guys not elect to ever go for the double teleport yourselves?
I don't know, the series was 3-0, so it was like, it was kind of hard for us to, we just pick stuff and it works, so why change it?
Why change it?
Classic pick and ban strategy.
I think 1-3-1 is the most face roll strategy there is, so everyone can play it. I think that's what everyone just played for the whole split. That's how we started to win games ourselves.
Будете ли вы использовать стратегию с двумя телепортами? На что Мифи говорит, что ну, если работает, зачем что-то менять? И тем более зачем брать что-то отличающееся особо по пику, если это работает? То есть они какие-то свои пики, наработки нестандартные так и не показали, и вполне себе мы видели обычную LCS-овскую игру. Ни та команда, ни другая не показали каких-то интересных пиков и интересных находок. Ну, у Origen все понятно, вот почему у Юолы ничего не показали интересного, это довольно интересно.
They're on side lanes, right?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that we can't be on side lanes ourselves. What all it means is that whenever they push, like whenever we push in us, we push in a side lane, we can go mid, and whenever they push in a side lane, we have to take care mid. So we just have to not always play brainless, but actually play careful at certain times. And as long as you do that, it should be fine. Like LeBlanc has a summoner advantage over Corki, So it's overall not too bad, and LeBlanc can go mid. And when you're playing stuff like Oriana or Azir, you have maybe your AD, maybe the Oriana, maybe the Azir on the side lane, and as soon as you push in the side, then you walk on mid again, and then you have like this moment where you're grouped up. It's as simple as that, and you don't really need to force fights. Like fights come to you if you have the control over a certain objective, like Nash, for example.
I just think like in the 1-3-1 by saying is really true.
Нет необходимости в каких-то тимфайтах, то есть они перемещаются по лайнам, запушили лайн, ушли на мид.
She's not like Zed or like maybe LeBlanc in a certain way where she goes on the side and wants to kill. Because if then after you go for a 3-1-1 with like, for example, let's say you play Varus in the mid lane, he will clear the wave against everyone, or Azir will clear the wave. Meanwhile, Lucian or like any support and jungle will play around this Zed or LeBlanc, and they will deny. They cannot kill, LeBlanc cannot kill those guys. So then after you will push, and it will be fine to play this against 1-3-1. But Lissandra is the only champion where even if you get pushed, then it's fine, just push me. But then after if you do one mistake, I TP and I kill all of you.
Yeah,
so I like the third ban.
When you play against Lissandra, you need to be very careful. Like you need to be very vocal about where the TP wards are and what side you want to kite the fight to, because the TP got nerfed. It's 3-second teleport timer, and as long as you see where the TP is coming from, it's not too bad. But even then, it's so much easier for them to get the right fight than for us to outplay the fight. But if you outplay the fight, it's over. So it's like I said, it's really hard to pull off, but if you pull it off, come out ahead.
Well, before we came into this week, we talked a lot about Azir obviously possibly being that must pick, must ban. And yesterday we had the developments that you said also it's just quite hard to execute at points. Is Lissandra now absolute number one in your regards? Is it Poppy? I mean, of course, there's still people playing here next week, so maybe you should.
I mean, I think if you look at just on stage, it's something, Sean, you've talked so much about how hard it is to execute certain comps on stage compared to scrims. Lissandra is a more easy and safe strategy on stage. We're playing the 1-3-1 and then have TP flanks, basically as your main way of playing the game. I think she's a fantastic pick right now. I think actually the ban you guys had in the last game was very smart against it, because you guys were going to play the LeBlanc anyway after you saw the 3 mid lane bans. I'm not sure that was called early, but you guys wanted to play the 1-3-1 anyhow.
I don't want to talk about that.
You don't want to talk figure bans, that's fine.
Nice try, by the way.
Still, with the Lissandra, she's just fantastic safe right now, and honestly, I think she's one of the strongest picks. Azir, of course, on paper, is insane, but he is hard to execute, as you guys talked.
I think every champ is honestly, Lissandra is not easy to execute. You need to have the balls, to get the TP, get
just talked about.
Also get the ward. So
safer strategy.
Yeah, safer strategy. I agree. I think overall, both of these champions are probably the two strongest. But yeah, in general, I think there's not like an super OP champ. Like I think both champs can be played around, but it's hard.
Why do we see this? But
just want to show some kills.
Yeah, there's
team losing.
Wow, Lissandra. Okay, Lissandra.
Wow.
Fabian was actually a god in this fight. Like he played really well.
Why didn't you guys play Lissandra?
All right, so the idea is like Azir and Corki should win against Lissandra in lane. So in scrims, this matters a lot. In practice, this matters a lot, right? Like. In theory, when you win mid lane, then in the mid game it's easier. In stage, maybe like it's way harder to take like really big decisions. Say, okay, guys, just push. Like Lissandra's on the side. Even if Azir wins a little bit or Corki against Lissandra, once the game starts, it's way more easier to play 1-3-1 while you have a control mage, because Lissandra will move, and then you will see Lissandra will say, "Oh, you have 30 seconds to do so," and then you see again Lissandra pushing, and then like, we have to put someone over there, and you lose the pressure down. So it's just easier.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you. And I think that overall everyone plays a bit safer on stage, so it makes snowballing early game a bit harder.
Yeah. Talking about playing on stage, playoff buff, all that. We have to crown an MVP, and with the semi-final on the line. Soaz went big to help Origen secure a trip to Rotterdam. 61% kill participation, 1.6 KDA. All of that actually doesn't matter that much, because obviously Sven seems like the obvious choice here. Maybe Soaz is someone who criticized so harshly in the spring split, and he definitely delivered.
I think also for a lot of people, there were like two specific matchups.
Отметили, что Лиссандра сейчас это один из наиболее безопасных опасности гибких пиков, и тот контроль и урон, который она вносит в тимфайты, ну, это просто нечто чудовищное. Вчера мы видели, как Фубивен уничтожал своей Лиссандрой просто всех своих соперников, и там даже игра, которую не могли вообще проиграть, решилась благодаря ему, когда он дал там троих просто рут, и ну, это было шикарно. Поэтому рекомендую посмотреть вчерашнюю игру Фнатиков против Виталики. Красавчики, Фнатики, и вполне себе заслуженно выиграли, потому что Виталики как-то себя переоценили, видимо, за сезон и подошли слишком самоуверенные к плей-оффу.
And just like not throwing, so he was just playing well.
Yeah, I agree. He was pretty annoying when he was like in the series in terms of like how he played like to the limit a bit with Lucian dashing in and so on. So that was kind of annoying, but it's what he's supposed to do. So he just played well overall. It's hard to praise him for just like you know he didn't do anything crazy either. So he just played well overall, and he was not too passive or anything like that. So overall, I think he played well.
Yeah. So we had the awards, obviously putting Silberg as the number 1 AD carry from a lot of the voters. I actually want to hear, because I personally think Forgiven was my number 1, then Sven actually came in as the second one, just on my personal list. I want to hear from you guys. Who do you actually think? If there is, obviously we are in a meta or in a part of this game where it's not about one individual player anymore, it's about the team. But do you guys think Silberg has performed well enough to be considered the best AD carry in Europe?
I mean, I think there's a top 2, and then there's like AD carries. I think there's like, you can't compare Sven or Forgiven to anyone else, in my opinion.
I agree on that one.
I would answer Yarnan.
I disagree from looking at last.
Because
I wouldn't put Yarnan in my top 3 right now.
Because I would get flamed, but theoretically, then I think like Forgiven and Sven were a little bit like showing up because of the way they're playing, and I think they're really good. I just want to protect my player, because even if we lose, I still love them.
Definitely, obviously. Support-wise, though, this is actually something that we noticed throughout the series. Hilly-san, we looked at his Chachi and Hilly-san as kind of pillars of the UOL. We feel that he underperformed this series. How did you directly notice it in game as well, without, of course, flaming him? But at sometimes it seemed that he wasn't that initiator at the right times like he usually is for UOL.
No, he was not like, I mean, he played fine, he played good, but I don't think he played too good or was like very annoying or anything crazy.
Ну, и, возможно, тренер команды Виталики отметил, что его АДК Хьянман все-таки тоже неплох, хоть он и проиграл.
Setting up everything for their team and so on. I think that, I mean, I couldn't showcase so much because I was playing Trundle. So we will see. I think it's a really strong pick. So when I go on a playmaking champ, I think I play pretty good and I do all that I talked about. I think that if I was on Hidesang's position, I would have done more. So I overall think that Hidesang played very well, but I just feel like in terms of like who's top tier support, I think Vander gets the praise here.
Also, yeah, there is something when we talk about support, we always have to mention jungle. Because there's a jungle support synergy that goes on. When you say your plan, you want to go between this lane and these lanes. And I think, yeah, Amazing and you, apart from one game, I think game 1 where Kindred, Amazing was playing a Kindred that got caught because two like overextending into the deep vision. But I think you guys played pretty well in terms of communication. Obviously, I don't know what was the reason, but I think you guys are on point to setting up some wards. Even if you are behind, it's really important that you guys keep on the communication to this vision, rather than Lulex and Hilly-san showing up less and less.
I think that overall me and Maurice don't really tag together so much. It's like, I don't know if it's bad or it's good.
That's how I felt. I
No,
mean, when you say to camera, it's fine.
Why are you actually making him do this?
No, but overall, I feel like we tag way less than last year, but it's also because of how the situation. Like, it's not like we're like.
О, четвертьфиналы, я пропустил четвертьфинал.
It just kind of happens naturally right now, so sometimes I don't even
Когда же
notice
они
if I'm tagging them or not. So
it's true, love.
I think if it's
3 числа, а сегодня у нас сегодня как раз таки 3.
A lot more apart, but together at the times where we feel we should be together. So I'm
То
not
есть
really sure.
You guys are really high
прошли
on the
уже
gravity of jungle sport together, I remember.
H2K is highest though. Evander and Jankos together.
Yeah, they tag
Cloud9 против TSM, и TSM выиграли.
Maybe they tag a bit too much.
Поэтому
But what is the
надо
difference
будет
between
как-нибудь
the jungle
посмотреть и
supports team now compared
североамериканскую.
to, let's say,
Просто
last year where you guys
по
made it to
нашему
Worlds?
времени
That was
они
one of the
играют
big highlights, obviously, you
очень
and
поздно,
Amazing together.
и все-таки на работу с утра необходимо идти.
It's gonna sound bad, right? But the truth is that no
Поэтому
one tagged together, so we
сделать
tagged, and
постоянные
it was like, oh, these guys
какие-то
are so good, you know. But now everyone is tagging together.
комментирование
So there's
игр
nothing impressive
не
about it.
получается.
What happened last year was that me and Amazing were together because we analyzed like some other games from other teams, other regions, and we saw, hey, every team is like tagging together here, and it creates a lot of pressure. It's really good. And then we started doing it, and no other team was doing it, and it just kind of sucked for them, you know.
That's how it goes. When you're ahead of the curve without even noticing it, then you just do it. Like it reminds me a bit when you pick like
like Nasus.
Like Nasus. Alright, then we can go. Now I was thinking about like all these champions, you know, like Queen, like Victor was big, Corki was maybe Corki with all the static match. And we abused a bit Balmortius and mobility from Queen. We just won 3 games, right? So it's a bit like that. I really like when you notice something.
Я думаю, что сейчас тренер Виталики будет пытаться как можно больше вытащить информации из Мифи.
We'll see who's ahead of
На
the
его
curve. We're going
месте
to
я
the
бы так сделал.
semifinals. The quarterfinals are behind us, so let's take a look at the bracket as it is filled in. Fnatic will be going up against G2, and
Что-то я
OG
как-то
will
не
face
понял.
H2K. In those
А почему
semifinals, that
они
means that all
поменялись?
4 of those teams will be going to Rotterdam to play either the final match or the third place match as well. Let's talk G2
О,
versus
так.
Fnatic.
Все становится еще интереснее. Как-то различаются. Либо я как-то неправильно посмотрел, либо
I think they have a
все-таки...
decent shot. Not saying they're favorite, obviously, because they won against us and we played pretty bad. So G2 will be a different story. But
Да,
I don't
ну
know. I think there's something in
завело
Fnatic, like playoff bonus maybe.
в заблуждение меня то, что находится Виталик и Шнатик напротив H2K. Я думал, что победитель, но оказывается наоборот. То есть Origen выходят на H2K, и на мой взгляд у Origen есть все шансы на то, чтобы победить и пройти в финал. А вот у Фнатиков против G2, я думаю, возникнут вопросы. Потому что G2 играют довольно
it kind of gets nullified quite a lot unless you get maybe a trundle pick into a big tank, which we don't see because it was banned away by Fnatic every time.
Ну, сейчас разбирают.
Kick is not the man who's winning the games. You put him on a tank like you put Gamsa on a tank. They'll just go even against each other. And then mid lane, February actually outplayed Nukdog and was a big carry in this.
Виталики были заточены под то, чтобы сделать Кабачарда керри, но сейчас там Комета на топе, и несмотря на то, что ты там получаешь киллы, ты все-таки не дэмэдж-дилер, и поэтому Фнатики и победили, потому что Гамсу более гибко играет.
Boblin matchup is pretty equal, and I think it's gonna be. No, I haven't scrimmed G2, but just from past games and so on, I feel like overall it's just gonna be a tank matchup. But I think that both teams are gonna play tanks or Thresh. Most likely, it's probably gonna be like contested between them. I've seen Clyde play a lot of Thresh. G2. I'm here and like I'm not leaking anything. I haven't scrimmed against G2. And I'm just judging from the Fnatic games before anyone flames me. So, judging from what I see, I think either there's going to be a Thresh contested pick or there's going to be tank against tank, and the matchup is going to be equal.
You guys ban Thresh?
We ban Thresh, yeah.
I don't know about...
Jack of all trades, master of none, but you said it on the desk 2 years ago.
But it's also about comfort picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like something we didn't pull out, obviously I don't want Unity to explain why, but we saw always ban Ryze, because obviously Vichy Jachi played a lot of Ryze in the previous weeks. We saw it in Korea, and I think this champion appeared at the end of the 2-week scrims and practice from the LCS. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about why this Ryze ban.
I don't really want to.
No, talk about. I think you should change the topic here.
I don't want to share anything.
But you had a lot of truth in what you said.
Oh my god, I was so close.
It is very strong.
Staying on the same matchup though, we're talking about top lane, we're talking about jungle. We're forgetting about Perks versus Febiven, because if we look at the quarterfinals, how they played out now, even over in NA yesterday, Bjergsen with TSM putting so much pressure on the map. Febiven doing a lot to help Fnatic get to that spot. How important will that matchup be? Because I feel like the meta is also shifting towards a place where they can have so much influence and maybe be an important carry, even though it is very team-oriented right now.
I think that the Fnatic versus G2 matchup, this mid-lane matchup, is probably going to be the matchup of the year. I think, sure, we're going to have our game, sure, there's going to be finals, but I really believe that this matchup is going to be the most hyped one ever, because I feel like both players share the exact same champion pools. Both play Zed, both play Lissandra, both play Azir, both play Ahri, both play Corey, both play everything, and they're both really good 1v1. And I think that it's not gonna be 1v1 game. I don't think there's gonna be solo kills, but what I think it's gonna be is like one team picks Lissandra, one team picks Azir or something like that, and then there's gonna be who plays what strategy better and who makes the most out of their champion in that strategy. So I think the game is gonna be a lot clean, very clean, and just overall, I think it's gonna be very, very close.
Yeah, one team gonna get the edge of the other, and it will be done. Like every time, I think that there will not be that much of a throw. And also, we didn't talk that much, but we have like Spirit versus Trick. Trick got the MVP.
Фнатики против G2, это будет битва мидеров, потому что
Spirit best champion is Graves, is Kindred. So once again, like, they're sharing the same identities, which will show like a great match.
У Фнатиков Биван и, естественно, у них очень похожие чемпионские пулы, и они оба играют прекрасно на этих чемпионах, поэтому это будет просто великолепное зрелище.
Could show us more faces.
I mean, Spirit could do that too. We saw at IM. He's still very comfortable on those picks.
On Lee Sin, yes. I think his Gragas was very bad when he's played it in the past, at least. He did really well when he got to play Kindred Graves for him. But I just wonder, with these two teams now facing each other in the semi-final, like, we have H2K as the only other team really we haven't seen now and even talked about.
Я думаю,
you guys
хватит на сегодня.
You played against them in the LCS. Do you think H2K are a step above Fnatic and
трансляции,
G2 right now?
Всем спасибо за внимание. Проверяйте периодически мой канал. По мере появления времени я буду комментировать новые игры. Поэтому всем спасибо. Пока.